good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. You're aware, we will have translation available online. Fanny, if you can please give those instructions so that they're wanting to listen to the Spanish version and do so.
We are having difficulty hearing you.
Can you go ahead and do the translation instructions, please?
The interpreter could not understand what was just said.
Can you do the interpreter instructions, please?
Sure, can you please repeat the interpreter instructions and speak on the microphone? Thank you.
Yes, can you provide the instructions for attendees to listen to the Zoom?
Yes, para los que están aquí participando en español, pueden acceder a la interpretación en español en el iconio terráqueo, si no hay una línea de conferencias telefónica.
Thank you, Penny. I don't know if you can hear us, but I'm sure that the members listening online will be able to. If you will join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Josh, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Yes, sir. Rachel Arizmendi. Don Cameron. Sinead DaCosta. Mike Gallup. Here. Eric Holt. Linda Humison. Here. Julia Jackson. Bryce Lundberg. Here. David Mancera. Here. Michelle Pissarro. Doria Robinson. Here. Frank Salazar. Joy Sterling. Patricia Scott. Christopher Valdez. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Josh. Or you can email the minutes of the January 3rd meeting. We'll need a motion to approve. Motion to approve. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. All right, at this time, I'm going to pass the mic over to Secretary Ross for the departmental update.
I'm going to be brief because I want to get to all the comments. So we have time today to walk across the street and visit the World Pack Expo. The first one to say, Undersecretary Jenny Leftermoff, I could say Jenny, sorry. We're so thrilled to have you here and the capacity. This is the first time that we're having the chairs get put together, and that's very common with the children. I read about you this morning when I gave comments this morning about we have so many things that make us in agriculture and for people. Homegrown USDA under Secretary, a very important farm bill winters appointment. Great to have the chance to listen on a very timely topic as especially crop. Really appreciate the listening sessions that you're doing and the investment that USDA is making. And those ways that can support the ongoing contributions, and I mean in the totality of what we need for healthy, nutritious food for school kids, of really helping to fill the hunger gap, of being in a fast-growing sector of food and medicine and prescription food boxes, and just what it means in our rural communities and showing young people, I call it the Dolly G process. Agriculture with all the innovations that you will see in the engineering industry, but the challenges cannot be underestimated. I know that we've been watching the website because the updated asbestos was released starting with Secretary Goldman's comments at 9 o'clock. We're checking the website, it's still not on the website yet, but it's an astounding value of California agriculture, which I'm probably getting the full number of 55.9 billion at Farmgate. That's about value added. What's most amazing is that in the Central Valley and the California counties that make up our top 10, those counties represent a higher value of ag than 26 states. each one of those counties as one county. So that's just how productive, but it's also the stewardship that we basically do it. So that we're going healthy food and ways to help our community. And so there's two topics I wanted to mention today. One is, I'm very pleased to say we have our agricultural commissioners here today. Thank you, President, State County, for being here. Partnership and what we have with USDA right now on the food slide, the next slide, the towel slide, and the frequency slide. Just last week, USDA approved, after being vetted significantly through the scientific technical work group, the new protocols that will allow domestic movement of this food. 7 significant quarantines. Last week, we started a very ambitious food shipping program. This is the final step in really interfering with the biological reproduction system of the food supply out there. Over 2,000 residents that we're visiting. What's so important about this is that our medication programs are always in the heart of the urban and suburban communities. So this partnership and the cooperation of our urban residents is absolutely critical to success. And the Redlands community is so proud of their history for district. And we have very few turnouts there as a partnership with USDA, admission officers, and conservation corps. But we're also going to report that while we're making progress in the food slide, we're getting into the long run, because we know it's going to take a while. We're also making significant progress on the advocating and I know it's a partnership with USDA. So those are the two things I wanted to touch on. And if I get new numbers, I'll be the first one to share them with you all. But it's really so to have them there. And this topic is so important. We know that the value has gone up top 2, and there's so many ways we can think about. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank you, Secretary.
can we be sure to use the microphone? Yeah, perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Really close?
Yeah. Perfect. And turn it up.
We hope you're okay in the audience here. So our first presentation to the board is the Specialty Crop Competitiveness Initiative. Jimmy, welcome. Definitely good to have you here. USDA Undersecretary Jimmy Lesser-Moffett is the Undersecretary for Marketing and Regulatory Programs at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The first woman to serve in this position, she was appointed by the Biden administration to strengthen agricultural markets and encourage practices that build soil health and biodiversity on farms. Prior to joining USDA, Undersecretary Moffett worked as Undersecretary at the California Department of Food and Agriculture. So it's wonderful to have you back. It's really nice to have the board meeting here in Tulare at the World Ag Expo, and I think we'll all enjoy the meeting today. We have wonderful speakers, and we're starting off with the beginning.
Thank you, Dawn. And it's a pleasure to be here. And as we were talking about earlier today, I think the last time I was here with student agriculture, so it's boring. So it's lovely to have a nice day. Certainly, but yeah, it's a pleasure to be back here. This is the first time that I'm back here, because you mentioned Secretary Ross in this position, so it's really nice to be back here for so many familiar faces and also some new folks as well on the board. And so it's a pleasure to be here and to be just talking about what we're doing. Karen, you mentioned, I'm just gonna go with Karen, you call me Jay. Talk about the staff, and yes, we have of course new staff coming out today, and I don't have those either. So we're you all together there. But California is certainly, I think I used to get in my talking point of juggernaut for crop production in the nation, particularly specialty crop production. For our conversation today. The crop producer has so many different specialty crops, producing over 400 different types of crops across the state, and still a very large portion of that is by agriculture and communities around the state. There are so many different problems, like nowhere application. Things like common we're going to talk about today, artichoke, broccoli, so many different places where we are in California is certainly the backbone of the nation in these really healthy foods. And Karen, as you talked about, and I'll get to this later on in my talk, is the work that we're doing, building and strengthening the connection between producers and nutrition programs and producer and food that is grown here in the nation, and nutrition generally, things like food medicine, prescription boxes, all of those things are really important, and not just for nutrition, which is absolutely critical, but also very important for farmers' bottom lines as well, to be able to really strengthen the food supply chain from farm to big, farm to school, farm to hospital, farm to all these very important nutrition programs is really critical. But there are a lot of challenges that specialty crop farmers face, and those of you who work with specialty crop farmers or are part of specialty crop farmers know them very well. As we launched the specialty crop competitiveness initiative last November, key to that was recognizing the challenges, making sure that we're hearing from farmers around the country what are unique and new challenges that farmers and ranchers are facing in the specialty crop. How can our program at USDA, and we have a myriad of programs at USDA that touch on specialty production, research, market, and the list goes on. How can we make sure our programs continue to meet the needs of today's specialty crop producers and specialty producers in the future as well? So the Specialty Crop Competitiveness Initiative, as I mentioned, was launched last November. We've been doing some listening sessions around the nation, and today is one of those where we look forward to hearing from something that we're going to have here on deck, but also hearing some briefings from the nation. We also have a public comment period open. And so March 8th is the public comment period deadline. I see Linda nodding, I'm sure plenty of you have been actively working on providing comments to us. I think that is really critical, and we make sure that everyone has an opportunity to share. But we also want to have these opportunities to have a conversation here firsthand, or I think some of the time. As I travel, it depends on the place and where I go, labor, water, health issues, things that are disease issues. There are so many different issues that producers face, but there are also a lot. I mentioned that we have a lot of programs, but if you go online to, and I don't have it in front of me, but if you go online to our USDA.gov rural perspective, we created a one-stop rural specialty crop at USDA. We have a resource directory there. This is the first time I think ever that USDA has done an evaluation and a compilation of all of the different programs that we have across the department. And what is really key about the Specialty Crop Competitiveness Initiative is that this is a whole of USDA coverage. This includes what's happening with crop insurance and RMA, and how they can make sure that their products continue to meet the needs of specialty crop producers, especially in light of things that we're seeing more and more, which is disaster, multiple disasters together, and other events that are happening. How do we make sure that our conservation programs, our services agencies, our research programs, our world development programs, and then of course the programs that APHIS and CMS that I provide leadership to, how are they all related for the future, and what are they doing now? Where are they together? At USDA, we have a variety of different marketing orders. Many of you are familiar with them. And we have 26 marketing orders and regional marketing orders that touch on not just research and promotion, but also quality and grading standards. That ranges everything from pollen to dates to pistachios and walnuts, to name a few, that really touch on here in California. And then we have 13 national research and promotion programs that are also tailored for specialty crops. Here in California, probably the one that's most tailored for California production is avocado, potato, watermelon board as well. And importantly, we provide market news information. The agricultural marketing services, and I'm sure getting data and information from you and from many processors and producers around the nation is gathering information about what the market price is, what the different sales information is that producers have, good information and making marketing decisions, and processors have good information on making marketing decisions. So we have these many and myriad of different existing programs, one of which, and I know Gary knows so well, because it's a partnership that we have between the State Department of Agriculture and USDA, which is the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. And this program is a really incredible program. My first exposure is of course, here through to a CDFA. And what's really unique about this program is that it is money that is a partnership that is through USDA. Farm bill money that is in partnership with State Department of Agriculture. That there are, of course, key criteria and the competitiveness of specialty crop production. But it allows the state to find the program and what is actually suited and needed for producers and for the industry of the state. So the three key main components of the specialty crop cooperative program are education, marketing, and research. I had the opportunity last week, and he was in town, Dr. Sandoval was President of the State, was able to visit and talk about it, and it's myriad different projects, because research tying in with production practices, tying in marketing, and education, so we're educating the next generation of specialty crop leaders, and aficionados, is really an important part of really expanding the competitiveness of specialty crops. It's been interesting to see the research that's been funded for the nation. Of course, conservation research and specialty crops, but also automation and things that we hear, right, as we are addressing labor challenges, automation, and other varietals, and as we're looking at consumers who are looking for, different types of keeping produce is also really important to do that. So I was excited 2 weeks ago to be able to join my colleague, Alexis Taylor, and Senator Stabenow, to announce this year's funding at $72.9 million for the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. I'm sure CDFA is already well ahead of the eight ball and has an RFA already out in the street. I should look at Josh to see if that's the case. But the 23 million of that $72.9 million in California. Again, it's all based on a formula based on production in California. It's just such a large specialty crop state. At that same time, Undersecretary Taylor also announced a new program called PEACE, the Existing Specialty Crop Producers Exporting Program. This is $65 million. It's part of the overall $1 million announcement that was made last fall through the RAP program, Regional Agriculture Program. I mean, it wouldn't be USDA if we didn't have that. So that's $1 billion program. Of that announcement was a part of $100 million for specialty crop producers to be able to access global markets with technical assistance to address trade barriers. These are things that I know very well in my work that I do in partnership with APHIS, addressing things like phytosanitary barriers, MRL, aflatoxin, labeling, food safety, a lot of different barriers that are very unique to specialty crop producers. Because of the unique nature of specialty crops, also recognizing that often industry and specialty crops doesn't have the same resources as other commodity crops. There's 400 of them. There's many more, and so being able to invest in technical systems, being able to invest in organizations to hire proper advisors to be able to negotiate some of these trade agreements that we have. That APHIS, of course, side by side, along with the Corn Ag Service, is working on is really critical and important. So this is a $65 million program that specialty crop industries and sectors can apply for to really break down some of the barriers that they're having to access global markets. We too at USDA are working and we're partnering with industry, and we often a lot of the work we're doing is in partnership as we negotiate different technical aspects for trade barriers. I can give the example, of course, of most recently we were able to get grapefruit access to Vietnam. And we did that in partnership with the industry. We did example, because Vietnam has specific homeland pest concerns, and so we work with the industry and said, these different pests are the concerns that Vietnam has. What are the different systems and programs that we put in place to make sure that those pests are going to enter Vietnam when they come, and they're great for to come to Vietnam. We're doing that right now, of course, also with Vietnam, on actually beaches, addressing some of the concerns that they have. So our producers here in the United States, and particularly as we talk about creating beaches, here in California, can access new and expanding markets. And Vietnam is such an important market. We've been able to work on removing tariffs, say with India, for almonds and walnuts, being able to access a $900 million market. In with South Korea, there's a myriad, we have a very long work plan with South Korea, everything from stone proof, and then of course, most recently last year, we were able to get improved walnut access as well. Because sometimes we have market access, but sometimes the different requirements are so costly, it makes it actually prohibitive to be able to export to those markets. So South Korea has been an important one. European Union, lots of conversations on things like aflatoxins and MRL and a myriad of different things. One of our biggest wins that we've had was 2 years ago. We were able to now expanded market access for United States potatoes down in Mexico. That has been a huge significant win as well. So those are just a few examples of some of the trade wins we've had. They're very much, as we negotiate each one of these pieces, it is very much a partnership with industry. As we talk about whatever it is, leaf hoppers do, whatever you do, other pests that are concerned, making sure that that we have and provide the data and the information that they need. We were excited and to be able to last week announce $70 million as Secretary Ross mentioned for plant pest and disease management. This was carefully discussed. Of course, there were over $19 million project in California that the Science Advisory Committee allocated. This is for things like fruit fly and citrus surveys. This is for things like fruit fly research and detection programs. Also looking at emerging pests. Hopefully never come to this day, but certainly the state is very well attuned to like spotted lantern fly and other emerging pests to make sure that should that fish, that there's not just making sure that they're not here and keeping them out of the state, but also having the good infrastructure should have those different bites and pests around the country. Clean plant health is also another part of this funding. So clean nursery products, we're not spreading diseases, particularly soil-borne diseases, as we move forward. And then also $5 million for a detective dog team. This is this is something that Secretary Ross is very passionate about. And I had the opportunity to go to Georgia now and visit the training center. Which is just incredible. These dogs are trained to sniff out and pests and diseases. They're able to identify circles or in cases of people who are coming into the country from places that have known diseases that are pests that we don't want here in the country to make sure that they're not bringing in through hitchhiking, suitcases or otherwise. So these dogs are sniffing them out and tagging them through packages, circles, people, you name it. They're also really getting trained in the field to be able to do detection and identify diseases in the field. So, Secretary Ross, as you mentioned, on the fruit fly, this has been one of the most devastating fruit fly detection and outbreaks in the state's history. Lots of records are set, sometimes good, sometimes bad. Over 800 different detections that were found last year in the state, so that is a record. Not the record I think California was hoping for at the beginning of the year, but certainly, and seven concurrent quarantines. We were able to announce $103 million for the Commodity Credit Corporation last fall. The Secretary allocated $3 million to address the fruit fly outbreak here in California, and should it be in other states too, to monitor Florida and Texas as well, where that's gone. And yes, recognizing the ag commissioners who are here, as well as of course CDFA staff and APHIS staff all working together. Karen, you mentioned that last week when you were in South Dakota, you see it now, the partnership, and strong partnership that our three teams have working together. It reminds me of something we heard so often at the beginning of COVID, which is one team, one fight. And that is absolutely the key. I'm going to just shift gears a little bit from trade and from the global market, the pest issues that especially corporations have some opportunities in market. And Secretary Ross, you mentioned the opportunities that special producers have to be able to have new diverse markets here in the neighborhood, in the community, next in the region, as well as abroad, is really an important piece. We've been excited. We started off with a program called the Local Food Procurement Program, the Local Food for Schools Program, and this is really about driving demand for how we do procurement. Early on, and I think in the pandemic, we've all saw these opportunities and needs that connect farmers with food banks. Farmers, and I know because I was here at CDFA at the time, in the work of the connection that farmers and the leadership of the big four that can connect and donate products to food banks was so critical. We know that farmers need to continue to be able to have markets to sell their products, and so the local food purchases really does get off of the voluntary nature and the donation nature of that person to really start to solidify new market opportunities for producers, particularly small and underserved producers, particularly producers that don't have that opportunity to be able to donate any of their products because they're simply trying to make ends meet that year. Secretary Bill that since 1981, we have lost over 400,000 farmers nation, 460,000 just in Iowa. And a lot of those are small and mid-sized farmers. And so the more that we can do to provide opportunities for farmers and ranchers, particularly small, particularly family farming operations, to have new and diverse revenue streams is really critical. So being able to put our money essentially where our mouth is at USDA through how we purchase food for food banks, for schools, for all of our nutrition programs is a really important part of that. What I love about this is the flexibility that is involved. Flexibility is key to all of that. But we also know that key is also that there's infrastructure they can happen. Oftentimes farmers want to sell to their school, want to sell to local hospitals, but they don't have the ability to do that because there's no one in the middle of facilities that market. And I know you know that very, very well. And so to be able to invest in things like aggregation, to be able to invest in things like food hubs, to be able to invest in things like cold storage or packaging or sanitation lines, things that farmers need to be able to access food markets, nutrition markets, is really, really critical. And so we've been able to invest $420 million through the Resilient Food System Infrastructure Program. That also is a partnership with Big Agriculture. CDFA has your application open right now, $38.2 million. I'm sure you talked about it at your previous board meetings as well. And so that application is for another week or two. So folks hopefully are getting their applications in. But it invests in the supply chain, aggregation, distribution, packaging, processing, all of the components that might be necessary to get product from farm to market to add new things for producers. The last thing I'll just talk about before I finish, and I'm going to Kelly Dane was here, is our organic transition initiative. Secretary Bill Black announced the largest investment the USDA has ever made in organic, $300 million in organic transition initiative. This is a comprehensive approach for supporting farmers who are looking to transition to become certified organic. Everything from crop insurance, conservation practices through NRCS, all the way through market opportunities as well. And key to that is the Transition Organic Partnership Program, which we call Colorado. And that is a regionally based, and there's 6 regions countries. PCOS is the region for this region. And it is about, providing on-farm technical assistance to farmers and ranchers looking to approach organic. That can be everything from field days on organic practices to market opportunities to how to do the paperwork, compliance paperwork, to become certified organic and maintain certification, all the way through to market and market development opportunities as well. So very comprehensive approach. And again, this goes back to core of what we're doing at USDA to build more new and better market opportunities for producers. So producers, again, can look to a diverse revenue streams. We're doing this through climate smart agriculture, we're doing this through the bioeconomy and circular economy, and we're doing this through local and regional markets and organic markets as well, and especially for look at those different components. And so we're really excited about this work. And stop here. How much time I have left, and if we have any questions. But I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be back with you and to be back here a little while as well.
Thank you. There, how about this? Thank you. Getting really appreciate your comments. Really good to see the development that's coming to California, and I'm sure you're a very strong part of getting here. So, first of all, thank you to you for really all the work you're doing for us here in the state.
It is a pleasure.
Let me hand this over to you.
I do have a question because, the investment in organic agriculture is really important because we know there's huge sales and the sales numbers keep growing. But the acreage that's certified in California agriculture, and we're the only state and state organic program in food on the ground. So we're very committed to the integrity of California certified organic. But how do we grow the market? Because it's coming from somewhere. How do we make it like I'm sorry, preferred choice. I'm all about California grown, and organic is the same way. And when I look at the sales numbers and the acreage numbers, I think it's great to help more people transition to it. And do you have some thoughts on that in your experience in years of being in that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so as the secretary announced the funding and as we start to sit down with organic groups to understand how best this to really make a big difference. I think we heard we need to grow organic production in the United States, and we need to grow organic markets and make sure that they're tied together. Right. So we have, certainly what we want more than anything is to expand U.S. from organic production here in the nation. Make sure that consumers have more opportunities for U.S. organic. And so that's where the Organic Market Development Grant Program that we announced, and we are right now, we had a huge interest, and we announced our first tranche of funding for it, and it's $0.75 million last month. And some of those, so there are three different components to the Organic Market Development Program. One was infrastructure, so investing in grain silos that may be dedicated to organic or processing lines that are expanding opportunities for organic production. Also, equipment only. Sometimes there's just piece of equipment that you need in your operation to be able to expand into organic markets. But the last part was market development. And I think they go hand in glove with all of the other components of the transition organic program as well. And some of the projects that we were able to announce funding for last month included things like a tie, actually. So Connecticut Department of Agriculture received an award for their tie from Connecticut grown and organic. And also in Maine, a similar project where we're looking at identifying what markets there are, what producers are transitioning, and then also supporting and facilitating their market opportunities. And I was able to announce the funding in Colorado with an organization called Colorado Grain Chain. A really incredible organization in Colorado that is all about facilitating the supply chain of grain from farm all the way to bakery, distillery, there's new value opportunities. And there are barriers all along the way, but be able to invest the money in facilitating that supply chain connectivity. In the chain with what we were able to invest for an increased organic grain production and in market. So that they're not, so that there's no misbalance in what they produce in the market.
Really quick, so you named three areas that you're working on. To develop organic market. But I'm listening, I was thinking about the producers. I'm thinking about producers of the food as well. There's a volume factor. And so I'm thinking of producer and I'm also thinking of the market and it's organic. And so my question is there investment going to helping understand what that increase or need, when they could transition to a new production?
Yeah, so the TALK program, the Transition Organic Partnership Program, has a few things. First, they fund field days about, as we're transitioning, how do we manage the loss in yield or the change in yield or the new pest pressures that you might be dealing with, or the nutrient management issues, all of those different components, right? That's what we're thinking about to make sure that the yield isn't hit as hard when the transition happens. That transition period is especially painful for producers. It also funds mentorship. So there's a new mentor program that has been developed that is being administered through all of the different regions. So there's over 200 partners now in the Transition Organic Partnership Program, and each of the regions has paid mentors. That is something that's really critical. Experienced organic farmers have a lot of experience, and they should, as they serve to be mentors for other new and beginning organic farmers, certainly get paid to be able to help and support producers for that. Just like when my dad transitioned to organic back in the 1980s, all of the organic producers or other farmers say, hey, different, I have this EBIT issue. How am I going to address it and understanding this approach and hearing from farmers to be able to quickly, not waiting for a full day for another opportunity is a really important. So I think those are a few different pieces of it. I also will just say, in addition to our investments that we're making in transitioning to organic production and growing and expanding and making organic market more resilient, we're also have invested significant work in rulemaking to make sure that there is a fair level playing field as well for organic producers here and for organic producers across the world as well.
So, just to expand upon that a little further, we're currently restructuring to try to deal with the increasing. There, so, sustainable production systems is becoming increasingly complex. It used to just be organic. Now we're having a definition of regenerative. We have folks we work with that feel like that's not enough. They want biodynamic, and we can name 2 or 3 other things. And all of the, when you start talking about supply chains and equipment and processing, we're going to need to be able to leverage for all of these folks to be able to reach those markets. We're currently, and I'm probably going to hear myself because this hasn't been publicly announced yet, but we're currently restructuring our SERP program, Sustainable Ag Research Lab, to have 3 different tranches, one of which will be sustainable production systems, and we're about to have a new specialist that will be releasing for improvements in all organic production systems to be the faculty director of our organic ag institute. Then we're going to have regenerative ag, et cetera, all within that. But as we're doing that, I think USDA needs to be thinking along the same lines. How are we going to leverage these different types of sustainable production systems going forward, because especially when you talk about the supply chain and equipment, that's gonna be tricky. Very tricky.
Yeah, well, and duly noted, and I will also say, we're looking at, right, a lot of these programs that I'm talking about are invented through one-time COVID pandemic relief. And so some needed that influx of funding to be able to build and strengthen a food system and identify those gaps. Some is also looking long-term as well. So we're looking at how do we strengthen in our partnership and our own technical arm to make sure that all of USDA programs meet and are acceptable for all producers, not just producers who've traditionally been able to have knowledge of and happen to program. So that means that we're really investing in partnerships with organizations that are known and trusted by workers who say, haven't worked with USDA because they don't feel that USDA has worked for them in the past. And so making sure we are building relationships. I think Syrup is a really good example of that as well. Is a partner organization and a partnership that has boots on the ground and existing systems already leveraged. So as we look at structure, as well as we look at how we are really reaching more broadly, we've got the main infrastructure, we've got the veins and the arteries, but we also know that there's a whole opportunity through, and we've been having and recently through a bunch of different organizations who have like the calendar to communities as well. So we're reaching hopefully more people.
Well, we'd be happy to work with you. I thought one of the gaps was indigenous.
Okay, I actually have a question for you too, and kind of in the same vein, along the organic market. I think it's fantastic that you're putting money into that and we have transitional programs in place. But I've been farming organically for 30 years and we just seem to be whipsawed because demand is not getting. Last year, across the tomato industry, we had a very good organic crop. And so this year we're seeing probably a 50% reduction in contract. It just, we tend to be on the seesaw going with demand and how do we get out of that and get a more consistent market for these products, because you're bringing transitioning new growers in or increasing acres. Where is the market and how are we going to develop a long-term buyer that is really a steady market for these new growers? I hate to see them transition and then find they don't have a market. That would be the worst.
Absolutely. And so, and now I hope the project that will be funded through the organic market development help build, when you say a steady market, to me, a steady market is a market that has multiple different avenues for sale, right? Because then if one market gets kind of down, as we saw, right at the beginning of the pandemic, there's other places to sell products too, within one's own region, within the nation, and then also global markets. And so I think that's a big part of it is because the organic market development program, we've announced the first roughly or just under $10 million of the project. There's another $65 million that will be invested as well, both programs that we've announced funding for $75 million. I hope that is a key part of building more resilient supply chains and market opportunities for producers, whether that is diversified market opportunities, whether that is things like just talking about processing to make tomato markets. We have pinpointed markets that we're looking at as well. We really want to strengthen and grow the domestic grain market. We hear that a lot from organic dairy and livestock operations, the need to have also organic input be available and more readily available here in the United States as well. So a whole variety of different components. But yeah, I think the key is investing in conservation and investing in transition is important. And especially for small producers who, you know, maybe have said, I want to be organic, I don't know how to start. I don't know how to do paperwork and then they'd be able to do that, but if they don't have market at the end of the day, it's all for not, and it's almost more of a that the staff with the program. I think it's really key, as well as loving, like, making sure that product that is grown and sold and organic, is truly grown, processed, and distributed as organic.
Thank you. We have other questions from the board? So, yeah, we have a special guest with us back there. We have Joe Schmidt from the governor's office. Joe, could you just stand and, great to have you with us today. And good to see you again.
Okay.
Well, Jenny, thank you very much. We're going to open it up to any public comment online and in the room if anybody has a question. Or,
I just want to also mention, we have, I know we're here talking about specialty crops, but we have our dairy USDA, AMS dairy program team in the back of the room. And they are such an incredible team. They're here first of all, Expo, and they're here also taking notes about we're reflecting the comments and the questions that are brought up here, so we can make sure that they're incorporated into the feedback that we're getting. Thank you.
It's important dairy here.
Yeah.
Number one dairy state, number one dairy county. Just saying.
California does a lot of things very well.
If you'd like to make a comment on this agenda item, please use your hand. And seeing no public comment.
Thank you so much. Do I get to stay up here and listen? Okay.
Thank you so much. Our next presentation to the board is going to be the specialty crop competitive initiative, panel number one. We have Melissa Frank from a wonderful company, David Hartwig from the California Fresh Fruit Association, Jack Mariani Net, from California Walnut. Melissa is senior counsel for the government affairs for the wonderful company. In this role, Melissa manages government relations for the wonderful company and its related affiliates. Daniel Hartwig is the president of the California Fresh Fruit Association, a voluntary nonprofit agricultural trade association that represents the California fresh fruit industry. The association is one of the oldest agricultural trade associations in California, with origins back to 1921. Jack Mariani is partner and co-founder of the Mariani Net Company, a family-owned grower and supplier of premium almond and walnut, California. Jack is also a current member of the California Walnut. So welcome to the preview. Great to have you here. I assume we're going to start with you, Melissa. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Well, thanks so much for the invitation, Secretary Ross and President Karen, and it's so nice to see all of you. It's always good to have an excuse to come to the farm show. And it's so nice to be sitting here. Well, I mean, I guess I knew that I knew most of you, but I want to get up and give a bunch of hugs, which I guess probably not the appropriate reaction to the state food and ag meeting. But thanks for having me. So I guess my first comment is it's great to have Undersecretary Monk here. And we're so lucky to have you in that role at USDA. To have someone who understands specialty crops and the challenges associated with growing and marketing specialty crops at USDA is incredibly important. We often feel like we're somewhat forgotten at USDA, so we know that you won't let them forget us. And of course, also have a culture in that role. You know, so thanks for your service. Thanks for being here to chat with us and enjoy the partnership. And we're also really excited about the opportunities presented by this new initiative at USDA. we have obviously seen significant challenges in moving our product to global market for a host of reasons, right? Whether it's ongoing trade disputes that have resulted in higher tariffs and other, I guess we would just describe it as barriers to export. It's just in a lot of countries, particularly China, has gotten significantly more difficult to move product there. And particularly for our nut business, where we were seeing sort of steady growth into China, we sort of plateaued, right? And we wouldn't have anticipated that, and I don't think we would have seen that if not for the ongoing trade dispute. And then all of the supply chain challenges just associated with moving products, which are even more acute for my colleague to my right, moving perishable products, right? It is, I don't want to suggest that it's not a challenge for moving non-perishable products like nuts, particularly because of the time we need to export, right? We're moving the bulk of our products into China during a couple of months. And so if there are significant supply chain challenges, there is, the product isn't spoiling in the same way that if you're exporting perishable products. And so we have real challenges in growing our export market. And there's obviously been a policy shift away from, the traditional bilateral, multilateral negotiations, and sort of efforts to resolve and to improve trade. But we're really appreciative of the creative way that USDA is looking at this and trying to support domestic producers in growing markets. We just submitted our RAP application late last week. There was a lot of excitement. And I would say, and hopefully this is the right way to look at it, how I encourage our group to look at it, is, MAP is incredibly important, but it's something we do all the time, right? It's sort of become, hopefully we're going to keep doing it, right? And, we gotta have a farm bill to keep that going, but that's not what we're going to talk about. But RAP provides an opportunity to sort of do things that are complementary to MAP. And I think to do things that we might not want to do every single year, that we might not plan to do every single year, but meaningful things that can really grow demand in some of those foreign markets. So we are excited about the opportunity that MAP provides, or that RAP provides, and interested in seeing how USDA is sort of judging those applications and really what you all want to see. I would think that outreach at USDA, talk about the program, talk about what you wanted to see was really good. There were lots of unanswered questions at the front end. What is this new acronym? But I think over the last few months, the staff at USDA has been really helpful in trying to explain the purpose of the program. And we're very excited about the support that it's going to give us to promote products in places that we haven't focused on with that, but that still provide significant, we think, opportunities to grow. So thank you for being here, and thank you for all of your program, which I think can be really, really beneficial and helpful for the question.
Thanks, Melissa. And ditto to everything. So
I didn't think.
yeah, I have to make sure I'm leaving out of the. So yeah, and like I said, so everything she said is true. And one of the things so that we're really concerned about in terms of developing markets, so the group like operates and the ability to be able to actually export our costs to a lot of these developing markets. Some of the concerns, as part of that, as part of those negotiations, are kind of make sure that we're free. And I'm hungry to like your report, so I can give you a couple of points. But if to make sure that we actually are free and have that designation, because again, we have to go through a lot of these engagement processes with added expense, through degradation, potentially. We have to make sure that we're really focused on controlling these issues and eradicating. And again, that's a huge issue. I really appreciate your comments on the secretary as well about the detection. We have to find better, there's more and those, we have to find ways to make sure that we're doing detection, in for those imports as well, because again, things hit rides all over the place. That's a huge problem. So if we're not making efforts to eradicate and control, and ounce prevention. So, the more we can invest in preventing having these issues going forward, I think the better off we'll all be. That's one person. I think, one of the other things we, really need to do again is recognize the work that, USDA and CDF have put into to control that money that's been, been dedicated to that as well. Super important, super critical. We're all very appreciative of that. But again, we need to go back and look at the cost, try to figure out why it happened. Kind of moving to the next topic that's related to that though, is making sure we have tools, the research, aspects, having tools. We have another problem. There's, it definitely has a place. It's definitely a tool we need to be able to have access to. But we know, especially in California, that sort of tools are kind of being slowly out of our toolbox. So we really need to make sure we're focusing on research and development to have new tools that are just as effective in place, the tools that available. And I think that this is probably, another implied panel topic here, but mechanization as well. I mean, controlling mechanization, like there are several bills in Congress, organizations that sponsor. But mechanization and research in that space is critically important. We all live in California, and we have much higher cost of business in places in the United States, especially throughout the rest of the world as well. If we are able to mechanize and bring the labor cost down, bring the cost of production down, then we would be big trouble. I have some other points too about infrastructure, but I'm not sure that it's necessarily related to special crop side of things. So if you want to hear what's going on, we can talk. We got time today. Obviously, water, right? I mean, water is a huge critical input, for all of our, you can't grow crops without water. So I do want to recognize the state, for our streamlining CEQA and helping them be able to recharge, more effectively. But again, as the climate does change, more and more of our water does come in as rainfall. It's going to come early, it's going to come soon. We don't have that snowpack. We're probably not going to have snowpack, up in the mountains, melt throughout the season to kind of slow that down. So we need to invest in infrastructure to be able to move water to a place where we can recharge. The project you guys have is fantastic for trying to do that kind of work. But we need more of this, right? And so there needs to be more investment in our rural communities in places, where the water, is going to have the best impact, have the greatest impact in positive way on the officers. The other thing I want to talk about too is electricity. We're talking about rural development. I mean, you try to get a lighting station now, and see how that works out. We're trying to get a service upgrade in any sort of rural area. Any farmers that are on the table is going to know that that's a huge problem. And so we have to invest. We have to invest in our rural communities, especially if we are going to an electric future. We have to be able to make these support, and our rural communities are really falling behind when it comes to being able to actually, have charging infrastructure. I have this great pipe dream with tractors, charging up, maybe during the day, start earlier. Maybe then you plug your tractor in, recharge the grid, you make a little bit extra money as a farmer or something like that. And then, but again, we can't do that if pumps are running and you can't actually recharge it in this electric equipment. There does need to be a focus. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for the opportunity to be with all of you. Chairman, if I may take the privilege, I'm going to address the Undersecretary that's Jim also. As a fellow Vincent resident, I have the privilege of driving Jim to a soccer practice. Hearing all of the language 400 stuff, we brought cycling. And I would just point out that treatment process. growers such as myself and I'm not the right side. We'll take these, we'll get the ground ready. It's months, prepare the ground, eventually put in the irrigation system, plant your tree, and then you wait about 6 years until you can get your first returns off your investment. That's why I would say, we're. Fortunately, well, the almond and walnut was on this for times in recent years here, typically for walnuts. Over the last 2 decades, we had a tremendous growth. We doubled our production from about 400,000 tons this year, back to 800. And a lot of that was because of the success of the MAP program, which growers did more than match the amounts that they got in MAP. The targeting the markets that we went to really were responsible for the 90% of our growth over that over those 2 decades. Unfortunately, because of the growth that was going on, especially in the new markets that look like they would be emerging and large consumers, growers continued to plant, anticipating the growth. And what happened during the last 5 years, the growth really didn't take place because we had some trade issues really that stopped 2 major markets, Turkey and India, from realizing the potential they have. Turkey had a couple of very significant tariffs imposed on us. India was we were growing the India market about 5 years ago. We thought we had a terrible tariff, 31%, down to 50%, so high. We paid that in a minute. They increased it to 100%. That's 120%. And we were fortunate to get those back down to 100%. So these tens of thousands tons of walnuts that were going to fund markets in those 2 emerging countries are now being stored in our facilities in California. And subsequently the market is reactive in a negative way. So that's the first I would call disaster that we faced. The second one was COVID. In 2021, during spring and summer, we were developing markets, everything seemed to be going pretty well, despite some tariff issues. We were expecting to have a return to the growers of the cost of production, which they were happy about. And when COVID hit, our ports got shut down. And walnuts are we consider them roadside perishable. After 10 to 12 months, that best buy date is going fast, and great oils, omega-3s that we have. It's our first active time. So when we didn't ship, the fourth quarter is always a busy time of shipments. Basically lost most of it. So we got January and February of 2022, is that happening? The industry, we didn't realize we're a big problem. So we started lowering the prices. The more we lowered them, the industry, more discouraged buyers because they were afraid if they bought what they could afford. We ended up with this huge carryover 20 crop. Going to 22, and we find ourselves large carrying and large propagating trees. Then the next terrible thing happened is, I think we used to call it heat storm of September of 2022. 110, 115 degrees throughout the central valley. What it did, unfortunately, it didn't ruin the water. But hopefully, it just shriveled it up and disappeared. It just turned to dark color. Still an edible nut, but unfortunately, the world market buys by color, and they only like it by light color. So we ended up with additional carryover in the end of 2022, going into 23 crop. And carryover was record 160,000 tons. 140,000 tons, and our new crop ended up being record 820,000. About 900, almost a million tons to work with. The quality was excellent by the best in memory, so our shipments are really good, about 20% of the next year. Good start. But we didn't have such a long ways to go. Last year we were fortunate to get Section 32 purchase for $10 million. Nice help. That was an equivalent of about 60,000. This year we put in a request for the same $10 million purchase. We received an award, which we're so happy to get it to $30 million. So in a sense, that's put another 40,000 tons. So we're in a situation, I guess, just to make it, so you understand how the growers are suffering. A couple of university studies shows that for fall growth rate, we need about 85 cents. 22 crop, the growers receive between 30 and 35 cents. The 23 crop right now, it's like the same. When they're losing it, how would they lose it? If you drive around any of the growing regions, you'll see orchards. We've lost about 40,000 acres already. And you can see additional acreage. And so you can see how growers are losing 50 cents a pound. We're just desperate to try to find a solution, and the solution, our wish list is for something to take another 60,000 tons off the market in order to get back into supply chain, carry into one crop to the next, or around 70,000. And like I said, get it down to 70, we're going to have to continue with success. We have the marketing crop right now, but it's also going to be industry's always been reluctant to have their hands out, making their hands about it. Whether it be an additional purchase from Section 32, you know, our industry is talking about introducing product with USAID, cattle feed purchase. The industry needs somewhere around $90 to $100 million in order to employ going to a third year, the growers are going to get 30 to 35 cents a pound. We're going to lose just, get 4,500 family farmers. We're losing some already. Another third year, 30 to 35 cents a pound is just going to stay up. So we're just looking for answers, and emergency relief would be number one. On that works really. To get money into their pockets so they can pay the taxes, pay the banking obligations, do the necessary work to get this crop harvested. You know, that's one thing. We're just looking for any answers right now. So we're the industry is desperate. We appreciate all the things that USDA and does for them. So there's programs. Section 32 workshop in Kansas City next month where we'll be attending. We think there's efficiencies that could be incorporated to return more money to growers. Crop insurance, we're looking for ways to be more. A lot of the growers think it's complicated, I guess is the right word. It's funny, I would just say one of our growers told me a couple of weeks ago, he said that I invested all this money, I thought at the right time was the market strong. I did the right thing, but now I feel like I've been captive on playing this shit and taken over by somebody hijacking. I don't know how I could get off unless I have some help. from my- It's just such a hard skill. Actually, it's what they don't feel they got in the situation by anything that they do themselves. Well, trade issues and then COVID kind of put them into these positions that they didn't sign up for.
That, yeah, Jack, I understand that very well. But, problem is that even just if you live in Orchard, the Walnut Orchard, $2,200. A lot of growers after they, budget for the cycle budget. Can't afford to even get. Which is really unfortunate. How many acres do you think need additional acres need to come out before we head toward the ballot?
Probably about 100,000 acres. 75 to 100,
And what's the total number of acres?
about 380.
We need to get down to about 280 to make it.
300 and
50,000 for wine grape, 100,000 for walnut. I don't know what we're gonna be growing. It's not good because the crop insurance, it's based on, number one, you have to lose your crop. And the price that they pay per pound is, I'm not sure what it is, but I know it's got to be low. Everything's a couple years. That's not a really good answer either. So, that's very bad. Okay. We'll open up the question to the board.
So this is a question for, Fresh Street Group as well as Walnut, because, 91 has historically been big and the school lunch program and the acquisition process. And so I know that happened first time. Sorry, again, I wouldn't go over your shoulder again, but educated me about it. Just the whole idea of how complicated it is, which is why the investment that we're making in the state of California in kitchen infrastructure and cold storage, in addition to USDA, really opens up those opportunities. And then for Walnuts as well, we've always considered treating that as a tricky space to get into. But I know how much creating recipe making there was to really show food nutrition directors they're interested in all the healthy products, how to use them. And so I wondered if you have any feedback on that, as well as for the undersecretary who helped make some of those acquisitions happen in the section to a health program. To see what we could be thinking about from stage 4 and help that, or what are the biggest challenges remain.
I know Paul's always been interested in school lunch, but from my understanding, I don't think it's
Last year, right? Not big enough?
Yeah, often know the section for review by the food bank. Yeah.
And I was just gonna say that as well, I thought a lot more than thought, and we think, well, some of the bigger issues that we ran into there was just, I think, while we grow our food, they do in the park, so.
Citrus obviously does participate in the school lunch program, and you're, talking with USDA about it. The small seedless citrus more prevalent in the program. I would say that I think all the work in terms of improving infrastructure in schools and giving school lunch preparers sort of help in figuring out how they incorporate some of these other types of products into what they're making for kids, including how to make them in a cost-effective way. Because I think in addition to the allergen, a challenge with not, even if you're going to figure out how to segregate and make sure that you can appropriately have the allergen issue, how you make that work in terms of the overall cost of meal, right? But I think the investment in infrastructure and training is really, really important. I mean, you're welcome to come to our school, we utilize some of those state funds to improve our facilities. And it's really incredible what you can do. But I think it takes looking at how school lunches are prepared in a really different way. And that often takes money to change the infrastructure. Right, I mean, we were fortunate in built these school kitchens in the last decade, right? Most where we could think about it, right? But I mean, most schools were, you know, all constructed at very, you know, years ago with different sort of thinking in mind about how we were going to serve food to kids, and like how you can provide that support to school to kids. And it's so important to get kids introduced to this different types of food at an early age. I think it's like a worthwhile investment. It checks off boxes, but I do think it requires support from, you know, state government to encourage and incentivize. Think about it.
Yeah, thank you for that, and I think that question, right, I know CDFA pretty much invested significant funds and state dollars. USDA has as well, we just announced our, I know, the recent contract, I think, for, food kits, like kitchens for schools. There's, in addition to programs like Section 32, Jack also mentioned things like, working with USAID and some of the other, programs that the government has. There's also the TFAP program, and I'm curious, a lot of these programs are, of course, USAID is, you know, being USDA partner, we're offering the procure. Same with some of our other programs that we have come through the Food Ag Service. Same with the food nutrition service. And, but a lot of the programs, for instance, like TFAP, are very demand driven. And I'm curious what your experience in the different sectors are working with food banks, working with foreign aid programs on educating them about the need for fresh products and, you know, so that they're driving demand.
No, I was gonna say, you know, at least locally, you know, we partner with, and I think that would be there as well. But yeah, they have a healthy food that a lot of families, for lack of funds or, you know, whatever reason, they aren't able to act. So I think there is a demand driven part of that. So I think we have get that into the food bank and then making sure things. Like, you know, or like taking forward. But there's a multi-faceted problem, and I think getting to the product that you can is really big.
I was actually bringing pictures back into our conversation again. Now, there's a long-time member who's always on. Whenever we have moments or moms who get close to being taken, we go back to the 70s. And it's just like, the way just
That is such a true thing. You know, each one of you are talking about products are really great, helpful products that are so important for all consumers, not just ones who can pay for it. But two big as well, and kids to be able to get.
But that food bank demand question is a real thing. I mean, we work to try to get pomegranates in the program, and you can imagine that not many food banks are asking. I mean, they're delicious, right? But you know, it's not an easy thing to distribute, and so I do think it requires different commodities to like think about it in a different way. And is there a way to get arrows in the program, or you know, something that would be easier to distribute to families? And another challenge can also be just packaging. And you know, you have to sort of take off your like, oh, I sell the cost for this, but if you're selling it to a food bank, think about the food bank, you know, operator who is, whether it's boxes or it's like a pantry, like it needs to be 10-pound bags are not working, right? And so I think that there's there's a lot of work that needs to happen, and I think the USDA procurement team's really good at that. But, there's sort of like a push-pull in sort of how we can get it to folks or easily distribute it and use it and families to use it. And I'm sure everything people will into this, but I think COVID woke up a lot of people to it could be the third marketing channel that we haven't really viewed as one that actually brings value, not just to the farmer, but to the community and the health of the citizens. And what we saw during COVID was a huge investment in living infrastructure. There's more cold storage than there's ever been. There's more warehousing than there's ever been. And so how do we think of that as another anchor institution in the community that could be the next aggregation hub, because it's remarkable and the new partnerships have been built around it. So all of us as commodity representatives have a big role to play here to bring the product in and understand what they're doing when we think about packaging. And there are a lot of things that are going in the real video. So there's something out of it, and let's not lose those opportunities because they truly are, and can help us with the community and prevent food waste. So, okay, then.
I'll just say one thing that most of you talked about infrastructure of schools and then, you know, going back to, you know, a previous way of thinking with crash cooking, you know, all those different components. And one thing that I wasn't a flavor of that I didn't talk about, but I think it's really can be really a change here is we have established regional food business centers around the country. It's 12 business centers. Certainly, UC ANR is the lead from Southwest Regional Food Business Center. I'm sure Heather can talk a lot about the work that's being done. What I hear over and over, and I hear from our regional food business centers that are being stood up, is they see an incredible opportunity for that, for farm to school, and to be able to help to provide the technical assistance of facilitate that, and particularly at school food procurement, how do we do it in a way that meets the cost requirements that are very, very real for schools. And the infrastructure as well. So they have some business builder funds, in addition to USDA dollars, other grant programs. But I think that's going to be a real big game changer. We have just announced 38 food supply chain fellows that are going to be supporting the regional food business centers out of USDA. And the energy around farm to school that I hear when I meet with fellows is and actually farm to institutions generally, is really incredible. So Karen, you talk about that sort of like the school or the tool, I think it's going to be just a really good opportunity to strengthen a market that has been the online market and now really have, you know, double.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about the Regional Food Business Support Center. And one thing we did in our proposal that I'm really excited about, because I've long wanted to avoid reinventing the wheel, duplicating what's already out there. We really scoured our region for where there were truly outstanding programs or innovations. You know, Riverside Unified School District has probably perfected a school district serving as an aggregation hub. And not only just for the school district anymore, right? Hospital and jail and the club. We actually sent our Nutrition Policy Institute academics there to research that so that it would be easy to replicate elsewhere. And similarly, like Local First Arizona is doing some amazing things. Los Angeles Food Policy Council created their good food procurement program. That is something that should be replicated every single place in the nation. And so that's one of the big things we're trying to do is just really get those winning, working, successful programs scaled up, replicated, and not reinvent that wheel. As we then try to look at where there's missing, you know, we know, as Karen said, supply chain issues, and we did get more cold storage, but there's probably need for a lot more. Local small facilities for livestock and meat, which of course the one program ultra fun, but we've got other programs of fun, and we're trying to partner up with rural development on some of that too. And also looking where we can improve our energy efficiency with all of this. And when we start pulling out those 100,000 acres of walnuts and all the other ag biomass out there, We're really working hard on finding a home for that biomass that might be profitable instead of cost center. And that's a huge initiative we've got going on right now, including things like biohydrogen, which is getting kind of interesting.
Well, I next. I think most of my comment goes maybe more toward you and I want to compliment you on your company's national advertising. We just finished our first national advertising on the enterprise in September, October, November. And I think we start to see the impact due to Nielsen and Spitz data. I love your TV ads, your Times Square ads, your Palm Ninja Warrior program sponsorship, and this year added a Super Bowl. But do you see every time you do those national ads, do you see the corresponding impact in the market?
Well, I can take no credit for any of the facts. We wouldn't keep investing, I think, if we didn't see the types of results that we'd like to see. So I'm assuming that my colleagues at Wonderful that make those decisions are tracking that all very closely, like you're doing.
Yeah, the comment I wanted to make was just relationship with trade, right? How important trade is, but how important stable trade is and stable trade relationships. And sometimes how I think farmers' perspective on their worldview and their interest in market just have disconnects. And how important it is for us to have stable relationships and stable trade. Our company mainly focuses on sales domestic. Our big export is Canada, which is pretty stable. But we have a partnership with the JR East Railway Company in Japan to do organic bentos in the rail stations and trains. And to put rice into Japan, it took 25% for to go in without huge tariffs. So we did that with them, built a factory in Fairfield to make those. It took one mad cow in Washington State to just shut it down. Just shut it down. How challenging that is to make those sort of investments. And then heard that there was avian flu in Connecticut at the same time and shut the chicken bentos down. Trade is so important, but some of the gun, how do you keep it stable in the relationships without it becoming so political?
I was going to identify and share by all the pounds per se, because every crop or every fresh produce has different opportunities and challenges and things through. Okay, state government, federal government, how do you create new incentives or help expand markets, particularly as it relates to institutional customers, schools, that kind of thing. And I know we're on the Central Coast and some of those commodity profiles, there's been efforts like there are everywhere with expanding access, particularly institutional access. And some of the challenges we might present opportunities. The virus isn't always the school, right? It's being a big food service distributor, an aggregator for scale. There's clearly scale issues, particularly we're talking about, mid to large size agricultural operations who have a certain footprint, right? Their system is set up to primarily serve certain footprints, excluding the food service footprint, where maybe whatever a specific produce item isn't always directly relational or possible just because of the challenges, large purchases, aggregation, storage, packing, co-packing, palletization, the whole supply chain per se. And so as I keep thinking of, okay, from the perspective of you as an audience member and analyst now on a federal purchasing program, of whether incentives or opportunities could be produced to the customer, the direct customer, the initial customer, which is the food service distributor, which in many cases isn't necessarily middleman to serve their clientele or ultimately American consumers, speaking domestically, but the systems don't always align very well, which is where sometimes it is limited. The scale is not the same, but we do have companies that have utilized food bank infrastructure because of the state federal investment that we made over the years, where we have expanded cold storage, we're not operating at near 100% capacity all the time. Therefore, figured out how to, I won't say divert, but at least shift some of the purchases, particularly for some of the individual consumer friendly items such as smaller pre-packaged or packaged kit that's visualized, containerized unit that you might find at a Starbucks or any local retailer to move different product lines, right, to not a new customer, but a customer through a different place, which is either direct through the food service distribution, but direct to the school where we do have some purchase. So I was just asking for, I know there are clear challenges, but there may be some new opportunities where new incentives can be created through the food service distribution elements.
That's where programs like the local food purchase assistance, which is just getting up and running now in California. I know, it takes a little bit of time, but it's just getting up and running, so I think that's a great opportunity, for that. I think that's like somewhere around $80 million for just the state of California. We've invested over $1 billion in the local food purchase assistance, and then also local foods for schools, which I think is certainly costing money for the state. The flexibility that's in that program is not just about purchasing food. It's about addressing the supply chain and the distribution challenges that are there. What is the aggregation challenges? I've heard from producers, I've been in like Alabama, for example, and heard from producers there about how this program has been so helpful for them, right? They can't go to 30 different schools to drop off their product. And at the same time, school, sure, does not want 30 different farmers coming and dropping off their product every single day. And so to be able to have addresses distribution and aggregation and food hub challenges with this program, I think is really important. Yeah. We're learning about the programs, and as we institutionalize the lessons learned that are happening around the country, we do so in a way that really takes good practices that are happening. I'm really intrigued, Linda, like the Riverside Food, right? The Riverside School District acting as a regional food hub. That's incredible. And so, and you see that it's been popping up. And you're right, let's recreate that wheel over and over. It makes sense to make sure that we're bringing that technical experts to the right places. And so, because that will help everyone overall. So I think that's an example of a local food purchase. So, yeah,
This is a perfect time to say that we have 14 of the 16 regional navigators from the Farm to School program. We are almost ready to close the deal for the 15th one. What's exciting about this is that there are 2 regions, and each region of the state which kind of is aligned with the state region, just like Winston. And one is about the farmer relationship, and one is about the schools and school nutrition, and they're like the matchmakers. They're showing up, they are in the community. I think this is a huge positive for us. All of our Farm to School money is one-time dollars, and so far this year we've been able to discuss it. But this is baseline funding, and I think these positions will do so much for all of the service programs that are happening in each one of these regions. And I am so over the moon. And if you want to talk about energy, I can imagine if you got 38 of these fellows. If you could be even on a Zoom screen with these folks, it's like we all need a little dose of that. All I'm going to say, very common, but I think it's very important to add this dimension about trying to bring these things together, because sometimes through the distribution system is geared one way and it will be another time it's not. So,
All right, any other questions from the board? How about questions from the public here and online? I got it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like school program, we have a food service department that does great, okay? And I do,
So we have a food service department. We do STEM grades, and And just for whatever, I've got some experience that I think that we sell, maybe exaggerating, over 1 million little packages a week, even by school district. Okay, that's not the only school district we sell. We sell restaurants, we sell schools, we sell all these kinds of things that are all over. Now, to give you a little background on the school programs, they're basically done at cost. Now, I understand completely that I got an expensive commodity, I got expensive packaging and all that. But I'm not all that nice. And then the selfish part of this is that I'm taking a million hits a week or whatever it is a day and getting new customers. Okay, and when you look at, say, California, and the percentage of pre-diabetic eating little kids that you've got to change eating habits. So there was a motivation for me to get into this program. Initially it was, I'm gonna get these kids to train M&Ms for my grades. Okay. That's the thing I wanted. But my point about this is that we completely understand the cost of this, and it's a bid program. The government's a bid program, lowest guy wins. But if you can ever get to a point where people recognize that changing eating habits, there is no amount of money that you don't want to put into those programs, because like we've all said, you take a 7-year-old change your eating habits. When they're 60, you got a whole different health system. Thank you, Coach.
If you'd like to make public comment online on this agenda topic, please use your hand icon and you go. And taking no public comment at this time.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the panel here today. It's been pretty informative. Thank you for really important. We're going to introduce our next panel. We have with us Ian LeMay from California Table Grape Commission, Ellie Maywood from CCOF, Carol McCarthy, Joe, come on back up, from HMD, Department of Growers, and Dennis Nextall from Western Growers. Can you be online?
Dennis is online.
Okay. Ian LeMay is the President, Chief Executive Officer of the California Table Grape Commission. The California Table Grape Commission was established in 1967 to maintain and expand market for fresh California. Kelly is the CEO of the CCOF, California Certified Organic Farmer. CCOF is a nonprofit organization in advance of organic agriculture for a healthy world through organic certification, education, advocacy, and promotion. Harold is a member of the board of directors for Western Growers. Harold established HMC Farm, a grower shipper packer of tree fruit and table grapes in 1987, and is one of the largest suppliers of these products in the state. Dennis Nextall served as Vice President of the Federal Government Affairs for Western Growers. Dennis has more than 15 years of experience as an attorney, congressional staffer, and agricultural lobbyist. Welcome to everyone. Good to have you with us today. Who can go first?
I'll take it.
Go ahead, Ian.
I'm going to also claim Harold as a commissioner of the Table Grape Commission, board member of CFA, covered a lot of things. Well, good morning, Secretary Rod, Board Chair Don Kiernan, and distinguished members of the California State Green Board. My name is Ian LeMay, and I currently serve as the HMD President of the California Table Grape Commission. The commission was established by state legislation in 1967 to support and promote California table grape industry as a way to bolster the state economy. With an annual operating budget of approximately $20 million, the commission fields a global marketing campaign, runs a worldwide grape licensing program, funds a 4-pronged multi-million-dollar research effort focused on consumers, the health benefits of grape consumption, mechanization, advanced automation, and viticulture production. and manages a wide range of market capacity issues. California currently produces 99% of the commercially grown table grapes in the United States. With all of their suggestions for ways to enhance the competitiveness of table grape growers and others in the special crop sector, I'd like to begin with the question asked about ways that USDA can administratively support specialty crop producers to enhance domestic marketing and increase consumption of domestically grown specialty crops. Having USDA support recommendations of the specialty crop farm bill on it, create a dedicated domestic marketing program modeled after the successful market access program would be a significant help. The idea behind the program is that it would allow the specialty crop producer or specialty crop producer organizations to apply for funding to promote their products to consumers in the United States. By structuring it similarly to MAP, we can leverage proven methodologies to motivate consumers to buy U.S. farm produce. Helping USDA provide food to those in need is becoming an area of strive in the grape industry. Growers are grateful for the help provided through Section 32 funding and are pleased to have been moved to the PPAP program, which is the name for the program. Taking food off the market through a commitment to USDA does strengthen the domestic market for producers. Accordingly, increasing the annual financial commitment to buying fresh fruits and vegetables for those in need is an administrative action USDA could take that will benefit not only the producing industries, but also those in need of society as a whole. Along a similar line, the Commission has worked with retailers for a number of years to better reach SNAP shoppers. In doing so, it has become clear that there are some impediments that retailers face when seeking to provide discounts to this important customer base. The communicated concern from retailers has been the prospect of being accused of advertising discrimination. Opportunities exist for additional SNAP promotion if retail concerns can be mitigated, and if the process for them to participate is simplified. These types of administrative fixes will lead to increased retail participation and promotion targeted SNAP consumers, which in turn could get more healthy food to SNAP recipients. Stronger communication efforts to educate consumers on the health benefits of fresh fruits and vegetables would be helpful as well. One suggestion is to bring the producer community together with USDA to explore innovative strategies to extend consumer education that retailers are promoting to SNAP recipients. The impact of domestic on domestic producers for granting foreign competitors access to U.S. markets is significant. Understanding there are trade laws, it nonetheless is true that every time new table grape producing countries granted access to the U.S., the strength of the domestic market for domestic producers is put into question. Prioritizing stronger and more robust economic impact evaluations when considering foreign market access would be an important step forward. Three types of economic evaluations are sought. Thorough calculation of the risks associated with non-local introduction of invasive pests and disease for requesting trade partners. Two, an economic analysis of the loss of producer revenue that would occur if there was an infestation in states or countries closed their borders, and an analysis of the cost to the U.S. government to eradicate or control that infestation. Three, an analysis of the loss a U.S. producer might face due to an influx of imported products entering the market during or on the shoulders of the domestic season should be considered. By quantifying the potential loss that U.S. producers or domestic producers can face in such scenarios, negotiators can make a more informed decision about the pros and cons of potential impact of granting access. Related is the fact that the limited authority to secure new free trade agreements or FTAs and the influx of lower priced imported fruit present formidable challenges to the competitiveness of many specialty crop industries. To mitigate the adverse impacts of imported competition, in addition to the focused work by USDA to expand the domestic and foreign market, providing a financial remedy for seasonal and perishable producers who bear the brunt of imported food competition is critically important. Having USDA communicate its ability to manage the analysis needed for the revenue calculation would be helpful should such legislation come forward. Moving to administrative ways to increase competitiveness in the export agreement begins with a request for full-throated support for the expansion of MAP and task farm bill. problem. In the next Farm Bill, and with our thanks for the recently developed RAP program. MAP and CAS have been hugely helpful to the table grape industry for many years. We expect RAP will be as well. There's a relatively small administrative change that could be made to how MAP funds are allowed to be used that would be helpful. Currently, couponing is not allowed, nor the support for advertising in which the retailer offers a discount. Both are standard tools with a proven track record of triggering sales. For a retailer is going to run an ad, more volume is needed in store. Typically, there are sales price to motivate shoppers. Coupons are an ongoing incentivize shoppers in markets around the world. We believe that allowing the use of both would increase export sales. Opening export markets and keeping them open are key to the economic viability of the table grape industry. With thanks for the work done by Avis, staff, and Shafter, Sacramento, and Riverdale, increasing support for him is a priority. Focusing on additional staff and funding and travel would bolster the work underway now and build for the future in ways that will enhance efforts to overcome barriers hindering table grape exports. Adding money for personnel is administrative fit that USDA could undertake immediately. Additionally, tracking trade barriers is a critical part of managing export markets. So the establishment of comprehensive specialty crop trade barrier database is essential. Such a database would provide valuable insight into existing trade barriers and challenges, enabling development of more targeted and effective strategies to address them while helping producers better navigate foreign markets and enhance their competitiveness. Focusing now on the question asked about research, let me simply state the viability of the table grape industry relies heavily on research and innovation. First and foremost, the implementation of precision agriculture techniques holds immense potential for optimizing resource use, improving farm management, and improving the environment and opportunity for farm employees. By enhancing mechanization and automation, production costs can be reduced while efficiency and productivity are increased. The federal government has a role not only in the research and innovation piece of the equation, but also in supporting and expediting the market adoption of these new technologies. Accordingly, as an initial step, USDA can offer its full administrative support to two specialty crop Farm Bill Alliance proposals. One for an allocation for mechanization research focused in the specialty crop sector, and one on the development of a grant program to help growers adopt these new technologies, bringing them to market adoption. At a more fundamental level, we need to focus on new and improved table grape cultivar. The traditional table grape varieties in years past are no longer economically viable for a host of reasons. Accordingly, investing in the USDA table grape breeding program based in Parkland is critically important to the future of the industry. The Commission has requested an additional $1.5 million allocation for the program beginning in the 2025 budget year. New varieties must be resilient to current diseases, pests, and changing climate conditions. They must meet consumer expectations, and they must be affordable for growers to produce and hardy enough to ship for long distances. It is ongoing, complicated, time-consuming, expensive work that cannot be done solely by growers. Government resources in terms of expertise, staffing, labs, and field are required. ARS support for this work and a willingness to partner with the industries involved and to protect the resulting intellectual property are all administrative matters. There are several measures USDA can implement to support specialty crop producers in combating pests and disease. Facilitating priority review and approval of alternative pre- and post-harvest compound treatments by EPA is paramount. Furthermore, enhancing the flexibility of USDA agencies to collaborate closely with state agencies like DFA or DDR and swiftly mobilize resources to prevent and control investigative pest outbreaks is critical, which all agencies this year. Similarly, investments in research or alternatives to plastic packaging is imperative to address concerns regarding food safety, quality control, and post-harvest decay. The global trend toward reducing the use of plastic packaging poses a multifaceted challenge to the specialty crop industry. While sustainability is paramount, navigating the trend requires innovative solutions to minimize environmental impacts without compromising product quality or safety. Having USDA support for research and packaging and related matters would be helpful. The vitality of the specialty crop industry hinges not only on the strong domestic market, access to export markets, and research and innovation in multiple categories, but also on the strategic adoption of existing USDA programs, as is now running this morning. USDA food buying programs are critically important and are well run. However, there are several key adjustments that could be made to improve the process to ensure it is a fair and equitable competition. Mandating that letters for suppliers or shippers include specific volumes for specified delivery dates would prevent manipulation in the system and ensure transparency in the bidding process. Additionally, increasing fines for delayed deliveries and implementing a tiered offer or awardee system would incentivize timely deliveries and elevate the quality of suppliers. Also requiring the best value determination and award decisions and establishing a qualified bidder standard for fresh fruit and vegetable products would prioritize quality and reliability of the roast, thereby safeguarding the integrity of the procurement practice. Expanding procurement to include fresh fruit and vegetables in the international food aid programs represents a significant opportunity to support both humanitarian efforts, especially crop producers. Initiating a pilot program to incorporate fresh produce into international food aid purchases will not only provide nutritious options to those in need, but also create a new market opportunity for specialty crop producers, leveraging existing infrastructure and supply chain to maximize their impact. In conclusion, addressing these opportunities and challenges comprehensively will not only strengthen the intake industry and the largest specialty crop sector of which it is a part of, but it will also contribute to the resilience and sustainability of California's agriculture. We look forward to further discussion and collaboration on vital issues and appreciate you. Thank you.
I was gonna say the same thing. So I'm a grower and I'm gonna hit a couple of my burning issues here that I think will be a benefit for us. And so here we go, labor and mechanization, they're basically the same issue. My goal, my personal goal, HMC goal, is to be an employer of choice. Make the jobs easier, pay more, benefits, etc. We have a health clinic. We support ourselves because if you live here in the valley, you understand issues with health and you can't get and go to the emergency, you can't get in there. But these are some of the things that we do, and in both respects, it's for the employer, but it's employee, but it's also for us because our goal is to stay ahead of the aging and shrinking workforce, and then you can provide a competitive product at retail. These things are, you have to do them both. You know, you often come into a situation where they go, okay, this mechanization is up here, you're not going to take jobs away. Well, how do you take jobs away from people who don't exist? You got an H-2A program. How are you eliminating jobs? I've always said that my goal was to make it really, honestly, easier. And to take the factory workers, because I grew up picking fruit and grapes and all of that. I know what it's like. I've done every job that we've had here, I've done. Also, when you look at the availability of agriculture, you've got an H-2A program, but what happens if at some point in time we actually secure the border or Congress doesn't E-Verify program? You will get your product harvested if you do an E-Verify program. I'm just being honest as a grower. I'm not running for anything, so and recognize that our loaded costs, our minimum wage loaded costs, $24 an hour. If somebody, I watched the Senate debate last night. Somebody wanted $50 minimum wage. The actual, I don't want to use the word ignorance, but what that will do, you're not solving any problem by doing these kind of things. Let me tell you just real quick what we have done as our own company. We feel like eliminating ladders. We take certain parts of our operation, get rid of ladders. So to do that, the smartest people in my company, my son-in-law, and my daughter and my daughter. But 10 years ago, we decided to go entirely change our culture, our planting culture. We do a two-dimensional planar high density
um, all new practices, new equipment. It was a very, very difficult decision to make because 10 years ago, I asked my son, we're driving around, I said, are you sure this is gonna work? And he said, what difference does it make? The other way we know it's not. There will be a point in time at which if you could lay this out on a graph, you would hit a point in time at which your product is no longer viable. I mean, it's a luxury item. You can't take $50 an hour peaches and compete with the mango from South America. So that's what we did, and we've been doing it we're in our 8th year of this. We haven't transitioned everything because it's gonna take about 16 or 18 years. What scares me about it though is that nobody else in my industry is doing it. Now, we have researched this throughout the world. I first found it, and they were doing in Chile, that we have operations in Chile, so I go down there and they showed to me. Washington Apple operations does it like this, but nobody in Stonebridge, and you have to ask yourself why. And I think a big piece of it is there a commitment to stay in the business, period. I mean, that's basically it. But where this affects USDA and everyone else is that there's no real, we're doing all our own research, let's put it that way. I mean, it's a small industry, Stonebridge is a small industry. And so, you know, we have to play off of Washington, the Apple industry, or whatever, South America, or, you know, all of the stuff that we're doing is coming from outside the United States. We have picked with drones. That's an Israeli company. And kind of a side note, 2 years ago when they first started, said, that's cute. Last year, wow. Or they modified these things to fit on the platform, they build them. And they walked up in the middle of summer and they said, hey, Harold, we're gonna do it at night, just like you asked us to do. We've got this thing down to the point where it's got perfect lighting. So, and I go, whoa, okay. I don't know if I'm gonna get it back this year. I think they've been drafted. I'm serious, you know. So anyway, there's a lot of things that we're doing that we feel are important. All of the exchange of information that we're getting is in. It seems like every week we're doing we're getting some international exchange of information. It was interesting to me, like as an example, Australia was in a while back, and he and my son-in-law, they're going back and forth. Okay, you gotta use 4 liters, not 2. You gotta this machine. Oh, get that French machine. The blossoms in there. And oh, by the way, you can only do 3.5 miles an hour. You can't do it. This is international stuff. This isn't coming from the United States. Our equipment is from outside the United States. You know, and for me, it's a little bit sad. Okay. We are as an industry behind. We recognize in the broad category of not just don't take break, but all of them, that we're going to have to address this, or we're not going to be able to supply the food. You know, I was going to try to do this real short because I wanted to answer questions. But a lot of this stuff that we have done too isn't necessarily cost saving. It is a way to make you, like I first started, the employer of choice. We pay more for these people to be on platforms, which is an easier job than we do on. And that's our goal. Anyway, that's I'll do real quick. Food safety is intimately something that is most. We had a food safety issue, and it's devastating beyond the wildest imagination. It's emotionally and financially draining to the point where you don't know if you want to stay in the business, quite bluntly. My only advice would be, please work together you need to get the FDA, the CDC, retailers and producers on the same page. And prevent it, not spend your money after the fact. Do it to prevent issues. This is new in our industry. Honestly, it hasn't been around. Genome sequencing is what, 7 or 8 years old? And we bluntly, ignorantly, we did not know we had a problem. So there's a learning curve there that I still am working on. There's a lot of things you could do to get together and do this right. I mean, there really is, but it'll bring you. It's the one issue that will destroy your entire company. X or, okay, we brought it up about South Korea. We've been trying to get into South Korea for 10 years. I don't know why. You know, it just seems to, we have got, all we do is seem to provide them with dinner and food, and then they go back and we don't get anything. But when I'm Secretary Purdue's here and came by, I said, listen, we don't want to hand that. When you take China away, you just open another door for it. Don't give us a handout. It's not what we're looking for. The USDA guys, thank you 1,000 times. It's a win-win. Okay, it's one of the best programs. We would just like it input so we can better educate the USDA on you know, size, timing, pack styles, try to get the programs out of it. To continue to make the program to try to continue to make it better for the people that really do need it. You gotta remember, 72% of all patients are grown in California, not over here, South Carolina. And 90-some% of all the that means 9%. They're growing right here, and they're probably going within 20-30 miles of where we are. But I cannot tell you how much we appreciate that program. Crop insurance, it's tough. You know, we got a very difficult industry. It's trying to. I get one of those elbows from my colleagues in the industry. Can you help us look at this? And I go, it's just going to take some time for people. We're working on it the best we can, but it's a process. We are advancing beyond the process, almost archaic. And all we want is just, if we have a disaster, don't put us in. That's all we need. We'll pay for it. When we have I had 2 senators from our state, their chief of staff, we're out there rain and asking us about what to do, and so, oh, we need money. No, we just want a program that works. That's it. Okay. Back there. Okay.
The other troopers, especially for lunch, jealous of your little happen. Especially from organic and vegan. Produce has always been and will continue to be the lead category. There's pretty special things that US sales. Produce is also the main entry point for the organic shoppers. Produce is the category very grain items. It's really a fascinating organic country. The organic grain shopper is also very over 90% of they might cycle down some categories of this. So I should probably try out. And we've come a long way from that humble grassroots beginning. Now, $67 billion sector, we do as a good company, and over $45 billion. national companies and farmers, are hiring. So this is really the lowest. And I think to share health and here in the state. For the first time, seeing comprehensive and cohesive set of programs and policies coming out for the next future, like we never seen before. The USDA's Conditions Organic Program complements I would represent that big ultimate challenge for organic 3-year transition. Here's the one running. Market changes, learning curve. So these programs for the first time start to bring together mentorship, funding, but in particular small and underserved producers. That's where these programs tend to target most, or to categories that probably they don't understand. There's also a number of programs which is like giving cost worship. Wonderful berry growers, veg growers, and then make the state organic program providing organic data is incredibly helpful to our sector, as well as funding for and providing very quick support for very as well as the state and our center and education. But it's not only that we're getting the programs, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just having professional or feel to understand organic practices and organic proposals included in work. So I just really want to hold the work you say, DNR, you can get investors doing. Yes, starting to see a lot of programs come online and waiting. Some of these programs are still getting their legs. Some of them are ongoing funding, big funding, but they are and I think with no exciting and prepared the organic space. Now, when I talk about the organic transition, the number one question is when the saturated market, we want to maintain that organic premium. Absolutely. We're all farmers, farm laborers, and well, very well. Nobody will work. So again, these programs do take into consideration market readiness and pinpoint those most right markets. Additionally, this is what I want to here's incredible opportunity for the restaurant. They complete the largely will be for university scale. And organic companies from California to Mexico to go California from organic. The Foreign Agriculture Service named Mexico as a rice emerging market for organic food, for health conscious food taste. So we want all traditions for all people, but there's something really special about the organic focus one because we can go really by requirements, as well as air traffic, organic standards, and really honing our fire rates. Again, we want to appreciate the way that CSA is supporting us. My last point is consumer education. When I am out in the field talking to producers, this is the number one topic right here. We're less concerned about how we treat the temporary more about the consumer data shows that 2/4 the consumers who are intentionally purchasing based on value, their values align very well with the experience, especially the value of transparency and integrity behind the label. Yet consumer data also shows more labels than ever before in the market. And this is the thing that made it a great station to should see ourselves for when it comes to organic, the level of oversight, enforcement, integrity, and everything. And so we really want to hold and make sure that consumers understand you want to be able to integrity, care, the details is one of the first things of the USDA Organic Market Development Grant Program. And we will be launching what we believe is the first national digital organic outage. We'll be uplifting the voices of producers and showcasing the time and commitment. This program, that's our one thing program. So again, funding, stated funding.
And last but not least, Dennis, are you there?
I am. I hope you can hear me. I first wanted to start by saying thank you to the Undersecretary and the Secretary for allowing me to participate remotely. I'd love to be there in Tulare. It snowed this morning, Jenny, so I know that you love being there too. And I'm also quite cognizant that I'm standing between you and lunch. So I will try to expedite my comments a little bit here this afternoon. So I first wanted to say Western Growers really appreciates this initiative that the Secretary has put forward to help the specialty crop industry better engage with the USDA and work through different programs and how we might improve, but also in the process, of course, identify things that USDA is doing well, right? And I think part of the reason the Secretary saw the need to do this, I hope, is the experience that all of us had as part of COVID during the pandemic, the CFAP program, CFAP 1.0 and 2.0. I think our industry, when we engaged with USDA, we learned a lot about sort of blind spots that USDA has about us. And similarly, USDA probably learned a heck of a lot about our industry in that process. And so I'm just really glad that we have this opportunity to continue that dialogue in a more formalized way and try to remove some of those blind spots and make USDA better for the industry. As I said, I'm going to skip ahead, but let me associate myself a little bit with some of the comments that my colleagues there in the panel talked about. So both Ian and Harold, for example, talked about labor and mechanization and the need for USDA to do more. You know, one of the places that USDA can start is ERS did a study, as you probably are aware, Jenny, a number of years ago, analyzing USDA funding programs with regard to mechanization. And, you know, sort of walks through all the funding programs. But it seems to me that a next concrete step that USDA needs to take is bring industry experts together and go, okay, we know some of the things that USDA is currently doing. Let's evaluate the effectiveness of those programs and those efforts. And then really, what can we do in a focused way to push forward on mechanization? So, for example, you heard Harold talk about some of the extraordinary things that he, on his own, is doing. And it strikes me that those are the kinds of things that really USDA should be involved in public-private partnerships. So how can we focus effort, concentrate effort? Resources are not unlimited, although we'd love for them to be unlimited, right? So let's examine what the programs are today. Let's figure out what's working well. Let's figure out what needs to be improved. And then let's also lay out an action plan going forward so we can maximize the resources we do have around the mechanization issue. And because, as Harold says, it's not a matter of replacing workers. It's a matter of two things: making the workers we have work more efficiently, effectively, with less harm to themselves, that make the jobs easier, to borrow Harold's terminology. And at the same time, we don't have workers. We all know this. We don't have workers. So that combination, I think, is the challenge. And USDA is not in control of immigration. Last I checked, it's not in charge of H-2A. It's not in charge of passing immigration bills like Congress is supposed to do. But USDA can help. And I know Secretary Vilsack. I've been involved in many conversations with him over time, and I know, and his predecessor, for that matter, have been interested in how USDA can help in labor. And I think that's one concrete thing that USDA can do, is ramp up spending efforts in a focused way. We also have talked a little bit about food safety. Jenny, you of course know a lot about that. The special crop liaison person to FDA is under your watch, and you oversee that individual. So you know a lot about the food safety challenges that our industry faces. But it strikes me, to build a little bit upon what my colleagues on the panel have said, that, you know, we one of the things that USDA can help do is break down the silos that exist between FDA, USDA, and then also CDC. You know, all three agencies have some element of this. They touch the different parts of the elephant, right? And we need to break down those silos, as Harold suggests. And USDA, I think, can play a critical role in that regard. So, for example, we know that we need research in food safety. We know that FDA spends some money on food safety research. We know that CDC spends some money on food safety research. We know that USDA has food safety resources for research. Can we bring those three agencies together and start talking about, these are the top 10 challenges by some metric, top 10 crops that have a food safety challenge in the foreseeable future, you know, whatever the metrics might be. And let's think through a coordinated research plan across the government. And as suggested by Harold, in a preventative fashion, not reactive. Because I find that most of the research that USDA is funding is necessarily, and not surprisingly, reactive. There was an outbreak last year. Suddenly, USDA is inundated with grant proposals with respect to that outbreak. That's appropriate. But, you know, we need to get ahead of the curve. We want to prevent outbreaks, seems to me. And so that's, I think, that's what we need to do. And USDA can play a role in breaking down silos across FDA, USDA, and CDC, for example, with regard to research. Beyond that, USDA and the state, for that matter, have some very unique capabilities with respect to education and outreach. Once we learn what the latest and greatest research techniques are, on the top 10 crops of concern, and we implement that research. We have the techniques and the technology. We need to share that technology, those research with farmers. And that brings into question the Extension Service, that brings into question lots of USDA resources, and for that matter, State Department of Agriculture resources. And so how do we focus those resources, work with the FDA to get that information out? Because that's really the only way we're going to have a preventative agenda with respect to food safety. So again, I think USDA can play a role there, even though you guys don't have, just like on immigration, you don't have control of the jurisdiction, so to speak. Export issues. I think the panelists talked about export issues as well. You know, one of the things that I wanted to emphasize is specialty crops are so dramatically impacted by SPS issues. And USDA can play a role in that regard as well. And you know, one of the things that I always find about some of these SPS trade issues is trade negotiators tend to punt those issues to technical experts and wonderful experts, for example, at APHIS, spend years and years and years and years working on SPS protocols. And governments in other parts of the world spend years and years and years delaying resolving these issues, and they use the technical process to delay rather than to resolve. And so it seems to me that USDA and USTR should be creating a concrete process by which they identify SPS issues, and at some reasonable time interval, they go, oh, you know what, this has been festering at the APHIS level for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, in Harold's case, 10, 11, 12, 15 years. At some point, we have to kick this up from the technical level back up to the trade negotiators. And really, at the trade negotiation level is when, you know, we need to put a lot more muscle into this. Otherwise, these things tend to be ignored and they tend to fester. So, you know, I would ask USDA and USTR to work collaboratively to come up with a review process for these SPS issues such that they don't languish at the technical level forever. And we have a process whereby the US government is reviewing these things, kicking them from the technical level back up to the trade negotiator level in order to try to be resolved in a more concrete way. Two other thoughts that I wanted to share with the group. One of them is on conservation programs. And it's been, you know, my observation that in the special crop industry, there is a disconnect between our growers and conservation programs and our friends at NRCS. And the disconnect is that our growers don't tend to know what those conservation programs are. One reason might be that there's an adjusted gross income limitation, and the structure of our sector and our industry limits eligibility. Right, you know, two chairs down from you, you have Don Cameron. Don can tell you all kinds of stories about what the wonderful relationship he shares with the NRCS staff in California. And they go to his farm all the time. He shows them all the wonderful conservation projects that Don is doing. But of course, he's not eligible for a single USDA dollar on those projects. And so, you know, because the structure of our industry is so different than perhaps other industries, you know, I think it's imperative for USDA to be thinking about how do we make the AGI rules fit us rather than the other way around. You know, I think USDA tends to have the mindset of, okay, these AGI rules exist, you guys have to comply with them. And these AGI rules work for corn and soybean operations in Nebraska, for example, but they don't tend to work for us in the specialty crop industry, given our business models, our structure, and various sizes that we have. And so, you know, let's get more creative at USDA about how we can use AGI to better fit our industry structure rather than the other way around. The other thing that I would suggest for NRCS is to more actively engage with our sector. during the COVID pandemic, I mentioned that earlier, one of the most popular links on Western Growers website, once CFAP was announced, was a link to USDA, find my office, right? You guys have a link that says, where is your local office? Because members of Western Growers, fruit and vegetable growers, did not know where the county office was. They'd never been. They never had a reason to go to the county office. So they had no idea where the county office was and where you could file for paper, your CFAP papers and ask questions and engage on CFAP. I guess I would suggest that our growers, if they don't know where the county office is for CFAP, they certainly don't know where the county office is for NRCS, and they haven't engaged with NRCS either with regard to the conservation programs. So targeted, focused, proactive outreach to engage our community, I think, is something that USDA should consider. The final thing I wanted to talk about was block grants, which I guess the suggestion we would have there is block grant program is a wonderful program. It's administered by multiple states, of course. And so as a consequence, each state, we have come to expect some variabilities between states. But, you know, USDA has particular oversight over that program. And one of the things that I would suggest is that we need USDA to tighten its oversight over the block grant program to ensure that states are operating them in a more similar fashion. Let me give you one example. So in California, the block grant program does not regularly engage with specialty crop organizations and growers on an annual basis to modify some of the priorities in that program. That's very different than whole hosts of other states where the State Department of Ag that's administering the program regularly on an annual basis engages with fruit and vegetable produce organizations who represent growers to make sure that, hey, you know, last year we had these 10 priorities. What are their priorities this year? You know, do we remove one of the 10? Do we add something? You know, how do we tweak these things to make sure that the block grant program is being responsive as it needs to be to the needs of the fruit and vegetable industry and grower groups themselves. And each state does that a little differently. Some states have an actual sit-down meeting at the headquarters, you know, the Department of Ag headquarters. Other organizations go to the annual meetings of the various fruit and vegetable organizations to get their feedback, and then that, you know, feeds into a process. Others actually call individual organizations, but nonetheless, there is a annualized repetitive process to ensure that fruit and vegetable organizations representing their growers are having input to make sure that the block grant priorities are accurate. And so, you know, that would be one of the things that I would suggest USDA needs to do, is make sure that while there can be variability, that, you know, there do need to be some tightening to make sure that the standards are more similar than different. Anyway, so those are at least some of the thoughts that I had, and look forward to any questions that the panel or others might have.
Thank you, Devin.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but we do listening and comment sessions every year on the substitute crop block grant program for all 400 crops that are included in that program. And so I'm sorry if you're not aware of the work that we do, the outreach that we do, and the invitation that we make for people from specialty crops to serve review committees and going through that grant process. I just felt the need to correct that for the record.
I couldn't quite hear that. I think that was Secretary Ross. Is that right, Karen? Was that you? We have engaged the state quite extensively about this particular topic. We are not alone. Other fruit and vegetable organizations have engaged the state about this topic and the need to have much more focused engagement with the primary stakeholders for this program. So we have had that, and that's an ongoing conversation that we can have. But Western Growers operates in multiple states. And so we are able to see differences between those states and how they actually administer the program and seek and get engagement from the primary stakeholders of this program, which are fruit and vegetable growers and obviously the associations that represent them.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and open the question from the board. Thank you. Right.
So I would like to thank all of the participants today and those that are on for your comments. One of the things that I wanted to, well, two things I actually wanted to highlight that I heard from the panel here. Carol, I would like to thank you very much for your comments on the competitiveness around the space. And like that, especially crop growers throughout the state and the myriad of crops that we provide. We're also telling how competitive it is, California, how do we really competitiveness is from the ground here, which means we have to be able to attract labor here. And we also have to be able to provide innovation. Because the other thing I wanted to do around safety, and not just with USDA's work in FDA, but also looking at the energy around and not just export, but also when it's used. Thank you very much.
Great recommendation.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
My only comment would be staying competitive, and I think that was part of what we looked at 10 years ago. We cannot continue to pass costs along to the, they just can't do it. We don't just compete with each other. We compete with other commodities within, some are important. And so, we have to look at that. I do not want to compete to the luxury item. And when I brought up earlier, eating grapes, I mean, it is surprising the amount of people that don't have an opportunity to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. It is mind-blowing. We do school gardens to Western Grove. We do school gardens, and to see the young kids grow their own product is unbelievable. It's just it's hard to anything, but we will not exist as an industry by continuing to shrink. And maybe just a little bit better than my competitor, so I'm a little bit cheaper, or being able to do that. It's just the opposite. So anyway, that was it.
Yeah, my only comment regarding packaging, there's ways of going about things with the carrot and stick. And I think we all agree and acknowledge and move towards more sustainable business practices, but hardline new regulations just cutting off traditional ways of the way in which we package our commodities. I don't think it's the most efficient means of getting to that. So I would really like to see partnerships with USDA and the TV with industry to try to provide solutions. And it's second to recyclability and making sure that local municipalities are able to receive some of these packaging. But there's a reason industry moved to certain packaging stuff. And food safety has an immense part of it. Because trust me, we're going to have to reset packing to improve. We'll move a lot more volume, but you're going to have higher perishability, more questions. It's such a big issue. I think we can move much more into care.
Ian, I want to thank you for your presentation. You covered a lot of ground there that was
wondering if your presentation is available for duplication or if it's online. Just, I couldn't keep up with all your presentation suggestions. They were all great and my notes just kind of,
So they, SCPI is a wide net, so we wanted to make sure we got it a bit.
you did great and, I just couldn't keep up with it. It was just, Kelly, thank you for your focus on the, organic, and I was just wondering if I could ask you a few questions, is the average CTOF farmer kind of mirrored in the California, demographic, or do you say the average, CTOF organic farmer is smaller and has a lower, kind of income? And I think the point I guess I was trying to get at is, all the programs in USDA and CFA equally accessible to the organic grower in California.
Thank you, Greg. PQF all of the producers that are certified in different ways. The largest organic growers in the world. And we do something very strong. And the majority of our states. In terms of accessibility, means to organic specifically or smaller.
We're good one. Like that. On all these programs, we're just learning how to access them. And I think in one of the programs at CFA had about the successful climate change, for USDA Climate Smart grants. I really learned there that Morrison Company based in Chico is super helpful in how we understand what's available and how to access it. And since that presentation, we've gone to them several times, but it takes capital to engage, and it takes investment to engage the consultant to access. And but the programs are great, but even a larger part of my farmers, we don't know how to make the Velcro that connection.
Because we're saying an incredible knowledge of when we get the registration. Like, there is something we call how the professional staff consultants out work and then who have the thing to make it more broadly available. I mean, we have some program. But funding CQF for the CQF employees in their office so that they can expand their organization. And there's so much more opportunity in say offices, for example, to really expand that reach. So we're starting to see that change. I think NPNR is really here and really prioritize getting more outreach. People, yeah. Yeah, everyone should have a one child rights grant. That's why I do the water. But I do want to stress this, right, and it's not specifically to the grant writing itself, although our specialty block grant program does a lot of work on capacity building, and we've already carved out some dollars that are specifically to organizations who have proven that if the grant writing itself, they really needed additional assistance, so if you try to help them that way. But more importantly, it's what we've done on technical assistance for over 90 different admin programs.
they're only funded by one-time funding or from GTRF, the Greenhouse Gas Emission Reduction Fund. And so we really started thinking early on about technical assistance, starting with the smallest and historically underserved or English as a second language, making sure that every farmer would have access to understanding the programs we offered and growing that into knowing what the practices are. And so we built out this whole network, I call it the infrastructure of the knowledge that will be out there long after some of our grant dollars end. A year ago, we signed a memorandum of agreement with NRCS, UCANR, and the California Association of Resource Conservation Districts to take all of this network and stitch it together to make sure that we have people who, you don't know, from CDFA or ANR or Resource Conservation District or NRCS, they're all out there with knowledge programs, showing up, understanding the community where they're serving, which is a great compliment to think about for the organic practices as well. It's one way of trying to make sure that we've got this knowledge that's out there in addition to assistance with the program and giving them that information even if they can't take the grant for them. But some of them are dedicated positions that help with the grant application and all of the work that it takes to do the reporting afterwards. So when there's money, there's a lot of accountability. Thanks for that focus.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that, I've many things working at CFA, you're listening from Farmers and Ranchers here in California, has things like the Climate Protect programs to build out. And one key thing I've heard over and over is grant application assistance, making it easier to apply. But also, awareness, increasing awareness, right? So being even aware of producers who are busy growing food each and every day, aren't always aware of what money is available to them. And so that is something that I have heard over and over and over again. And as we have been working at USDA, we have integrated where possible into each and every program. So Kelly talked about the new program with NRCS. That's part of the organic transition initiative. There was funding dedicated not just for conservation practices at NRCS, but also growing organic professionals with beyond our USDA professionals, but particularly within USDA professionals as well. So that's part of the organic transition initiative. The regional food business centers are going to really be an extension of what USDA's footprint is around the nation. So there are three key components for the business centers. One is technical assistance, helping to navigate the food supply chain, whether we talk about food safety or labor or all of the different myriad of issues that the producer has to be able to get product from their farm, their processing operation to wherever market. That's one piece of it, the direct to help navigate the food system. The other one, and a really important part, this is one of the three key components, is grant application. So each of the business centers will be are required to have support producers in not just becoming aware of, knowing what funds might be available and coming down the pipeline to them, but also be able to do grant writing assistance as well as grant implementation. Right? Sometimes the biggest barrier is, well, I know it's funding there and I can try to apply for it, and once I get it, then doing the reporting requirement is also a huge challenge for producers. So that's another piece. And then the third part of what the business centers will be doing is then also being able to provide what's called business builder grants, smaller funding for especially community. So we're adding the business centers in. They're getting set up as Linda talked about. They're working right now on getting established. I think they'll be a really big game changer for a lot of producers. But we're still working through all of our different programs. We have invested significant money through, let's just say, for crop insurance, through RMA, to increase more organizations out there helping to make sure that producers know that crop insurance is even helping the tool that's available for them. So we're integrating it slowly where we can into our program and with the entire intent of making sure that everyone has knowledge and access to our program. So I think those are a few examples that, it's a really, really important question, right? Something that I know when I was at my operation, I had maybe 5% of the knowledge of what both CFA as well as USDA had. And I know that is, a huge barrier for opportunity for producers. And we're really working on trying to address it, and there's a lot more.
Well, Karen and Jenny saved me some words, thank you. Because I was gonna mention the phone review. But I really want to just, a couple things. First of all, kudos to the leadership of Karen Haas for actually taking on leverage of existing programs. You know, like that interview. NRCS, ANR, Conservation District, CDFA, beautiful partnership. And we're not only did we map out kind of where each of where each of us belongs without stepping on each other's toes, but a feedback loop that I think ultimately is going to be one of the really cool things in there. So when we're implementing best management practices around California, we're getting quick info back to the research arm, mostly ANR, but it's others too, on what needs to be improved, because the best management practice that maybe works in Southern California is not necessarily working here. And that allows us to then target our research to find the improvements that we need. So I think that's critical. Karen also was responsible for getting 10 community educators around the state with the Climate Smart Ag. And that then turned into other ones with food safety and et cetera. Conservation's now doing it with their sustainable ag land. DPR is doing it around integrated pest management. And I ultimately think it's not only getting way more bang for buck, it's getting far more work out for far less money than trying to reinvent something every single time. And nothing against consultants. I used to be a consultant. Consultants got me too. But you know, these smaller farmers and NGOs, underserved consultants. So that's one reason why we've been building a team at ANR to basically help our grants and also with management and implementing these smaller grants through Sarah. That's why we're growing Sarah right now too. But I think the other last point I'll make is that one of the things that I think is helping us be successful, and it's that culture shift that we're still in the middle of. We don't let our academics, for the most part, unless it's purely research, just write a one-off research grant. We encourage all of our folks and our partners to have academia, the best of academia, the best of government, the best of the private sector involved in that grant proposal. Because, you know, for the most part, I've been seeing grant proposals that maybe, you know, just 1 or 2 people are involved. And if they can simply reach out and grab a couple more key partners in, you can make that grant proposal. We're finally getting the UC system to understand that. When I first got here, I had always watched Davis and Riverside individually put grant proposals in the USDA and not get them. Purdue would, or Iowa State, or Texas A&M. But if they do them together, it's amazing. We can do really nice big grants by working in the system and particularly bringing in our government and our private sector partners. And that's something we're going to do.
Do we have any questions from our audience today or online? Can you check online?
If you'd like to make public comment on the agenda item, please use your hand icon and welcome meeting on. Seeing no public comments.
I'd like to thank our panel, really a great job. Thanks for taking time out of your day to report us all here. Really appreciate it. All right, we're going to move to our final panel. We have with us Hector Reader from the Community Farm Line, Family Farm, CAP. Natalie Capel, from Central California Food Bank. And we have Marcus with Shannon Farm. Hector is the farmer market co-director at Community Line with Family Farm, CAP. Throughout his career, he's worked together with small communities and producers to increase their competitiveness and their resilience in climate change through cooperation, and open. Natalie is the co-CEO of the California Food Bank and is a member of the California Association of Food Banks. The Central California Food Bank is the largest food bank in Central California, serving Fresno, Madera, King, Kern, and Tulare County. With the help of dedicated volunteers, to 300 partner feeding sites, the food bank serves over 300,000 people each month. Marcus is a Shane Farms, California-based food company, built by father and daughter team, Jim and Jim Shanley and Nathan Warren, with the shared purpose of delighting and exciting food lovers with their ecologically sound and truly unique food product. Marcus's work with food engagement with school district to further farm school connection. Welcome, good to have all three of you here.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Undersecretary and the board for having us here. Amazing opportunity. So I'm here on behalf of CAP, and I guess everybody's quite acquainted with CAP, or we've been around a little bit. And on my time with CAP, we noticed a set of different challenges that our small farmers, especially farmers, are facing throughout the state. And I think there's a lot of them. I think we kind of all know some challenges. So for the sake of time, and because it's quite late and I'm getting a little bit hungry, I will reduce it to two challenges. And that is access to information and high costs of production. So let's begin with access. USDA has an amazing, wonderful, up-to-date price platform that lets us see what the prices are looking for and what the market is at national, state, and local. Unfortunately, it's very unusual. So small farmers have a lot of trouble, and even technical providers, I see it with CAP as well, have a lot of trouble using that platform that could be so beneficial when it comes to crop planting. And it's a shame on us that we don't get to use it. It could really be a game changer, and I think that making a platform like that more accessible, user-friendly, would not only benefit our small crop farmers, especially crop farmers, but also large farmers as well, because effective user-friendly resources benefit everybody. Along with that, food safety was a big topic. I'm not going to get into the research of the food safety, but more about the access to that information, right? Food safety information, specifically baseline requirements, or you name it, are always a challenge to get. We see it all the time with the technical assistance. I think UC Sarah is doing a lot of work right now for different grants in the form for food safety support. And the reality is that if food safety resources were easier to understand, it would allow a lot of small specialty crop farmers to formalize the practice, allowing them to participate in more farming. And the last but not least, and I think David and Sarah will not let me lag here, is across the board, we see that business skills are again, right? And it's very difficult to navigate because when we're working with small farmers, we tend to take a reactive approach, right? And that means specifically they reach a farm to market program because they cannot sell 200 pounds of tomatoes and it's about to go bad and they find a buyer for it. And what happens is that there was no planning involved, and a successful business does not react, prevents. And I think prevention, preemption was a huge topic throughout this whole day. So access to business skills, specifically understanding how much production costs, could really be, and I'm going to use the term game changer a lot because I don't know why I'm just thinking about it, but it is going to be a game changer. So what we end up with, the challenge is that we have small specialty crop farmers that don't know what to produce. They want to produce it, and even if they know how to produce it, they might not be able to produce it safely, and they might not know whether they're making a profit. That is basic business skills that will make or break a business. And then let's talk about high cost productions. We already talked a little bit about access to technology and access to infrastructure, right? We already talked about amazing programs and USDA and CFA are going out like LPA or the Farm to School program. Those are amazing. Those are changing life for the better. We're seeing, I think, ultimately, will tell us a little bit more about it, but changing lives for the better. But when we focus on the infrastructure, we have great programs as well. The RFSA one is a great example of that one, but that's a one, right? And our farmers need processing and production technology that is accessible price-wise to them. So potentially supporting both the development of appropriate technology that can benefit small farmers, and if it's very successful, also large farmers, would change lives. Expanding programs like RFSI, both in extending those programs and expanding it to potentially include production technology or even land access would also change the environment. I have a bunch of people know that I haven't been using so far. Lastly, let's continue the work supporting aggregation. Aggregation, it has been very well adopted by small farmers across California, especially. It has the potential to allow small farmers to access wholesale market participate in. It has really been an amazing triage of support when it comes to aggregation, with institutional purchasing like farm to school purchasing or food banks, farm food bank purchase, right? An aggregator has needs for those other institutions. And we're starting to see that different aggregations are allowing small farmers to purchase equipment collaboratively and even land, which is the biggest and most important. So it is really allowing the panorama to shift for the better. And I was going to tell you guys about this great example, and I'll mention it real quick, which is we saw during last year, that's just winter storms. In Humboldt County specifically, there was also a tremor, right? And we were lucky enough to have to run a CDFA supported LFPA pilot program. Now, that pilot actually kicked in at the right exact moment we needed it. Why? Because the tremor and the rains made the road very difficult for the trucks taking to the food bank to get there. So there was a shortage. For a little while, it was solved. But that allowed a local group, North Coast Growers Association, which is also an alumni of the LFPP program, to meet the demand and even expand their network to work with a local Europe with the indigenous farmers, which was something mentioned as well, and start working together with indigenous farmers and ranchers network. So we eventually, well, not really, the amazing program that you guys supported, created an environment that increased local small farmer resilience, increased competitiveness, and also increase the diversity of farmers actively participating. I'm here today not asking for new programs. I'm not asking for to reinvent the wheel. There's always some great programs. It's just about expanding them, extending them, and improving them. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. We are invited by Michael Grady and Josh that reached out to us. My name is Marcus with Shanley Farms, and his wife, Megan Warren. We're a pretty small, mid-sized farm out in California. And we also have a farm in White Hills. Jim, the founder, the forefather of the company, passed away last March. Women-owned business with private meeting. He was a very successful commodities trader with livestock here in Central Valley. Did really well. Plan was to retire and be by the beach after being retired. We saw the hand in avocados back after this passed. And there was not a lot of growers, a lot of so he always had a great vision. Unfortunately, with his passing, it's been tough.
And we go now to take information and goals and pass it on to Justin and get it for the big generation. Michael reached out to kind of for us to share our experiences. We're stewards of the land. We love what we do. We have about 30 different avocados, about 10 acres of finger limes. So probably the most eating fruit in the United States. Organic lemons and also passion fruit. Kind of what we're experiencing is we're really impressed by the fact we get as a small farmer when we're doing less than sell the small margins up there. Hundreds of acres, thousands of acres. You can kind of work that thing. But what we're seeing is we get pulled into a price per bin and backing out the field. We see that we see what they're reselling to markets and still we're putting all the risk, we're putting all of our work. And we don't really have, so what do you do? You know, the right way. Try to take that next step as a small farmer and you put together wonderful programs for us. And one we're focusing on are going to farm school. And when we're working with the schools, we're seeing 3 bid options. With micro purchases, so with micro patches in there. And we recently discovered they're trying to increase that, fix that. So that works pretty good for us to get to that pricing, keep the farm going. We're not going to be money to go to the right size. The next step is informal bid process. And I believe that's $104 before the and on the second one, we have to send out 2 other bids to get pricing. When we're working with these schools direct, it's hard just to get these little microprints. We just get outbid when just being formal, we can't do best. Because we can't the low, the outbid and we can't. But unless we talk about it. But our biggest problem, I've seen, we'll go to these the Monterey conference, meet all the cafeteria, put together a program, do all the work, and we can get it to them direct. Say $1. Well, by the time they have to use their allocated money to go through the distributors, it's $8. So we're making 20 cents in clamshell, distributors, consolidators are making 6 cents. That money's supposed to go to the school. And the farms, and even on the farm to school program, the schools without school have to use this. Even if we buy from Cisco, it has to go to the next distributor. So that's a big struggle for us. Maybe if there was something, maybe there's something out there we don't know about. That we can go straight to the school and get rid of this, all this money going to there's a lot of it. And you're more welcome to come to our farm and share. I don't want to get into all of the experiences now, but I think that's probably our biggest problem with inflation and cost of farming. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. We just did a Google Doc, and then we have a follow over here by Phil. We try to listen in call. We can hear that call. So those are probably our biggest tackles for the things that we need to tackle to get the rest of the school. But the micro purchases work, but as soon as we get into the informal process, out of our hands, the schools have to go to their allocated money to the distributor. If they get a kickback, they have to spend all their money through that distributor and get 10% in the year. When we talk to the schools, they're like, we wish we did that. But we can't, we could use our money to do this stuff. So I think kind of that's all we really, not too much. We're an awesome farm. If we ever more vacancies, with the best avocado in the world. If you want to try, you need to get pretty good stuff. And we did have a lot of success working with farm through the Monterey program. We had about 16 schools this year, and we offer to come to the school for finger lines. There's citrus pro side of the finger lines. It's built that farm. Yeah, there's more vitamin C in the little finger lines. And kids, they call them copper rock.
Like, it's a fun experience. We just wish we could do more with it. Schools seem to be coming at that. But it's perfect. If we can, if small and mid-sized farms can get more of a direct connection with the school. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I feel a little bit like a woman now because we are not the food bank in California Association of Food Banks, who I'm here today representing, is a food distribution and logistics organization. We don't work directly in agriculture, but we are in agriculture adjacent, right? So again, my name is Natalie Cable. I'm the co-CEO of Central California Food Bank located in Southern California. Today, I'm serving in my capacity as board chair of the California Association of Food Banks. I'm going to talk a little bit about CAFD and one of the programs that they operate called Farm to Family. So just a little bit of background of the California Association of Food Banks. We are a 41-member food bank organization that leads the effort to end food insecurity in California. And the work, I'm sure as you know, is both essential and possible, right? Ending hunger is completely possible, but not without strategic and intentional collaboration from top vital partners, including our agricultural partners. So right now, the California Association of Banks work to address food insecurity really does have on two fronts. That is working to feed individuals right now that are food insecure, while also changing the system or advocating, right, to change the system to prevent food insecurity. And I really do want to take this opportunity to thank the FDA, to thank CBSA and all of our agricultural partners for both the California Association of Food Banks and my personal food bank and president, because your partnership and supporting them really does advance our ability to execute on our mission. So a little bit about the California Association of Food Banks. As I mentioned earlier, we are a 41 food bank membership across the state of California. And those 41 members represent roughly 6,000 distribution or feeding site partners across the state. In calendar year 2022, California Food Banks distributed roughly 900 million pounds of food, 7.2 million pounds of food. And in addition to helping support food neighbors, the association is committed to an equitable food system in California that amplifies access to CalFresh and public nutrition programs through the Farm to Family program, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, works with agricultural workers to ensure food grown and on the family table, and ag work does not get wasted, and to improve the social safety net by advocating for enhanced public policy to food neighbors. A little bit about the landscape of food insecurity in California, before we talk about Farm to Family. Here in Central California, 1 in 4 neighbors experience food insecurity, and in the broader state of California, the most recent number is 1 in 7, and that number is completely unacceptable to us, and I know it's completely unacceptable to the state and USDA. 88% of California food banks are experiencing increased usage of their services from neighbors. Some food banks are reporting higher service numbers than during the pandemic. For example, our food bank in Q4 of 2023, we saw 150% increase in website traffic for individuals searching for emergency food services. And programs like our appointment-based grocery pickup program currently scheduling 60,000 users in need. To cope with the increased need, 75% of banks are working on strategies to increase fundraising. We do not have enough money to meet the sustained elevated needs long term. Our food bank in particular is operating on the deficit funds model. We are in our 3rd year of drawing down reserves to be able to support the elevated need and to be able to match what neighbors are telling us that they need. The majority of that money is going towards food purchase. And, more need for emergency food power. 69% of food banks have used a disproportionate percentage of the budget. So really, this is an ongoing challenge, and we know that we're working more with the. So now, a little bit about farm training. This is a really incredible program, which has been in operation over 20 years, and specialty crops for. Last year, Farm to Family sourced 255 million pounds of fresh produce. Just to kind of equate that down, that's more than 200 truckloads each week that is getting to 41 in the bank. And the majority of that comes to right now, Farm to Family works with over 125 agricultural partners in California annually. And because of USDA food purchase agreement, the association expects that number to grow significantly this year. But this is primarily due to our collaboration with Hector and CAP, because we are bringing more small, medium, historic farmers into the process. And we are hopeful that California Association of Food Banks can help provide and implement a sustainable model of continuing exploration and funding is on. During the pandemic, Farm to Family, the AFP worked with Steve Develop Ontario, raised to create fresh produce boxes. These were all specialty crops. Some were distributed in boxes, some were provided farmers market style to food banks during the pandemic, right? If you want to drive through, no distribution. To date, it shipped over 100 million pounds to the neighbors. So Farm to Family primarily focuses on the membership market. Where fruits and vegetables are edible, they're not retailers. And currently, Farm to Family is offering 40 different commodities throughout the year to Farm to Family is also an amazing opportunity for farmers who, due to market conditions, would not otherwise harvest or pick their product if they decided to sell it under. In this circumstance, Farm to Family offers farmers by providing growth support farms by providing steady outlet for that extra produce by offering a hidden tax fee along with that health benefit of the state and federal tax. It's really interesting when we go out and for director of the acquisition, people go out and do farm visits. How many people do not know about Farm to Family? They don't know about the additional market, right? Food banks present, right, and our goal to be able to neighbors on our food. And then one of the additional niche services that Farm to Family provides is the ability to respond immediately to relocate rejected foods to one of our great food banks. Really, this operation strategy reduces food waste by ensuring quality produce that might otherwise be wasted on food banks. Farm to Family, CAFB, and food banks are extremely responsive in this rejected kind of like opportunistic offload category. Especially because of the recent adoption of the right? Retail rescue, food rescue organizations have always been integral to food banks, but that is now expanding to produce, right? And food banks are ready and willing to be a partner in this space. So that's a little bit about Farm to Family. One of the other things that I wanted to talk really briefly about is about takeout in section 32 of commodities. Takeout food banks rely on USDA programming like the Emergency Food Assistance Program and section 32 for commodities. Last year, California food banks received 170 million pounds of takeout commodities from USDA, and 35% of that was fruit and vegetable and And one of the more recent occurrences, that our individual food bank has experienced is a number of associations coming to food bank asking for support in the bid process for Section 32. And so food banks, are positioned to be able to leverage connections with our national partners in America. In conversations with USDA to determine like how we can work those bids. A little bit of confusion, associations are hearing from their legislators, right, that having food bank support for these bids could be vital in them, participating in the program. And so that's really where food banks, right, are playing that supportive role. Is, how do we show the need? How do we communicate that we partner with these organizations that more fresh produce through DPAC and the women's commodities is welcome and neighbors are and specifically, Feeding America has actually dedicated a recently and full-time position to help support this conversation with the USDA. I believe that the manager of the operation to be able to elevate in the conversation with the USDA and what be able to that expand offering for Section 32. I think that's it for me. Unless there's anything else, really want to take the opportunity again, to thank you all for inviting California Association of Food Banks and food banks in general to be represented in the conversation. I appreciate
Thank you all, very good presentation, really informative, and Natalie, thanks for all the work you do in Central Valley here. We have a question for the board.
This is from Marcus. Marcus, thank you for the examples and the challenges and struggles. I appreciate it learning about more. Your situation and what works situated issues throughout the state. One thing I wanted to ask aloud, and you might have a response to this based on your entrenched work with local schools or other school systems in your area or elsewhere throughout the state. An example that I'm familiar with because we have some involvement in is Salinas region. And so the Salinas City Elementary School District had an interest in the King River District, where they're utilizing resources to go out and food purchases. But they didn't feel that, as I understood it, the resources that were available or how they were utilizing the resources were hitting their preference. And their preference was they wanted a certain mix, right? They wanted to be a little bit more choosy with what types of produce items. And I think the biggest issue for them is they wanted to secure more local produce. They were getting fantastic produce, but it wasn't necessarily from the local producers or as much as they desired. And so they got creatively, they worked locally with their food chain, but also through us trying to identify which farming operations would have an infrastructure, a desire to want to pick up some of this business opportunity and provide for some. An agreement where the district was putting resources on the transportation infrastructure side, where they're starting pooling, where that was limited to what extent of an operation now for storage and handling, and for a local movement, right, where they can be an aggregator, a cooler, or a repacker, and perhaps most importantly in this case study, or scenario, a transporter. So I was just curious because I presume I don't know all the school resources. I definitely don't know, enough about all the different monetary sources and strings of cash that maybe or a district or school systems make a purchase level such as yours. Like I'm aware of has been the case in my region, but I'm just curious, to learn more from your perspective about impediments you run up against, whether it's school specific or at a district level, because I do perceive some breakthroughs can be made, whether it's kind of business partners, so to speak, connect, or it may or may not best fit through an aggregator of broker or a wholesaler in that case. But I would just like your perspective, because the differentiator that I understand for this school scenario was local, right? So they want to control the mix, you gotta think of their student population. You know, no less than likely a third of the parents, school system work or connected directly or indirectly, handling, growing, the shipping, the processing, these produce centers. It was a real big, I would allege, community interest, not political issue for the school system in my lens, to try to figure out how to ascertain more. State, to my knowledge, they figured it out along the way, not only crop mix, but packaging, right? They wanted a lot of items that were very accommodating to, you know, individual, whether it might be individual berry or a packaged salad that was made for, you know, a retail market or a quick serve restaurant type format where it's prepackaged and a one-stop shop and a whole. And so just like to learn more from your perspective, because it's concerning to me understanding what about this reality, but I've never heard it from the perspective. Absolutely, thanks for asking. So we come across a lot of the same issues. All the dietitians that we work with, they get budget for politics. And the full part of purchasing goes to that program, proteins, dairy, etc. And we get a lot. Our families won't fit in that. It's too small for fruit. So they do ask us what else we. And it's usually within 250 miles. We try to stay within that. We are reaching out to other people and buying team. And our biggest success is the harvest of the month. So what we're proposing right now is the harvest of the month. This coming school year on avocados, we're going to try to do guacamole or fresh served in salad, which Sandy did this last year, which was great. With avocados. So we do struggle with our commodity to offer, and they're constantly asking to pull together our other farms. So we're working with CAP, and now the Farms Together program, which is a new program of $60 million allocated for that. And if you become an aggregator, you can pull central coast and our CAP, the valley, to farm. I think you have to be under a certain amount of capital or acreage to, and it goes straight to the food bank. There are food hubs and food banks, so we're going to try to do that, pull from other farmers to offer bigger percentage. But we do struggle with that. The only success we've had is the harvest. Yeah, okay, it's huge. Exactly, they're almost done with the 2024 program. 2024, 2025, they're always way ahead. And we have a lot of rejection because we can't offer what they, and what we're seeing too, we'll go to the schools, for example, Santa Maria, Buffalo, and they have one kitchen for 26 schools. So they don't want to mess with the distribution. They're going to go through very many because they're going to drive them to school. So unless a small farm can buy a food truck, box truck, and deliver to the school, so that's our way. We struggle right now. And we've always put a harvest of the month program. We look at 16 schools and just being buddy. They're great people. We go there and we want to help the small farmer, and it's really cool. They meet you and we want to order directly from you, but then there's a whole business on the back side. It's impossible to you can't compete with all leaders, and it hurts us. We offer tax and it goes up 800%. Where we all should be in school. I can understand to the degree it's what it feels possible going to the but we're trying to work with farms together, farms have a selection. I think that going out weekly so they can see what we have and getting them now. I think March is the best for their program because they want to make their lunches. And then we'll besides harvest of the month, we'll look for the top of Tuesday with Bakersfield.
They usually talk with Tuesday, we put them on to they don't. Don't want to talk with it. But our passion is create a healthy food system for the school. We're small, we can't keep big. But we do the right, we keep the school, the wing for us, the wing for giving the fresh aspect, the healthy, nutritious food. But, maybe we can talk and figure it out. But is that answer your question?
And just for clarity's sake, that Farms Together program is what we named the LPA version of the program. Because there's 3 different versions going on. But, yes, all of that, we've seen as well with our Farm to Cafeteria program and CAP. We've also seen that, for example, micro purchasing is not something that farmers can depend on because the school district can only purchase 3 times before they need to change to another farmer or vendor, right? And then when it comes to, let's say, a school district that is extremely interested in buying locally, right? And they have the funds, which is that's they have the funds, they have the willingness, they might not have the knowledge of how to carry out develop RFP to actually center local procurement, right? That's why we have actually went through a whole system to develop a tool called the Bid Generator, which is completely geared towards supporting school district procurement directors developing RFP. Then on the other hand, we also have that a lot of school districts, and not only school districts, we're talking institutions in general. We see that with universities, we see that with hospitals. They're tied in for very long contracts with Cisco, with Daylight, with a very large tiers, right? So they might be willing to buy it locally, but they would have to go through Cisco, Daylight, and all of those things so that they can purchase. And that's where a lot of projects going on. That's the word right now, but anyway, that's where a lot of increase happens, right? And a lot of the loss for the small. And then last but not least, local food, ironically, is very expensive, right? And even with the funds for and the willingness to buy, it might still be for a lot of the schools very difficult to pay market price for the small, to the small. So we end up with a system in which small farmers, most of the time, have to either go direct to consumer to a very saturated market of white collar urban buyers, which is a small percentage of the population, or they have to find other ways to sell at a loss, right? So that's why the cost reduction is so important, because even amazing product like the farm to school program is struggling to meet the pricing necessary to support small farmers.
Wow. Yeah, I love the first. Thank you all of the previous panels for their presentations and to your secretary, with Josh. Both putting this together, there's just been really, and part of a lot, and I think it's gone for a very long time. And for now, although I'm really very interested in how this all works, but yeah, hello today and local food purchase assistance, local food for school. The design model was to bring in that flexibility that you're talking about, so that we can integrate into our general procurement. I'm really interested in meeting American position. You talked about produce and having someone who's dedicated to having fresh in things like the bonus program. I've been here a few days now on the listening and hearing from both. And one question I heard in Arizona early on was for the food bank program. The program chat. Is the cost and challenge of transporting products and where you can maybe they were out to meet. How do you cover that cost? Like, where are other resources for transportation? If you're you're paying for packaging and going up. Yeah, so
So I'll speak to our food bank, personally. Right now, it's kind of a mixed bag. We work with contracted trucking, when needed, and we have really long-standing relationships with contracted trucking here locally that will provide us cost savings or cost rates, right? And so, I think that's one of the things that you have to learn, right? Working in a nonprofit space is relationship management and network. And building relationships is really important, and finding individuals that align with the values of your organization and wanting to support your organization and the work that you're doing is really, really important. It takes a long time, and it's not available to everybody, but we have seen there. Additionally, it is a line in overhead, right, for our food bank annual operating budget. That is the cost of doing business, especially when it comes to donated or, that product. And so, I understand though that there are challenges that other food banks who are low or under-resourced may experience, right, when they are trying to, source fresh product into their specific community. Feeding America actually has some really amazing great food programs that food banks can take advantage of. So feeding individually, right? Like we take it, we build it into our budget. We work to cultivate relationships with individuals that align, right, emotionally and to be able to support the organization. I think food banks have to do a better job of elevating where the gaps are, right? I think we have been so used to just managing with what we have that there is an expectation of what was will always be. And we don't do a great job about telling our story, and we don't do a good job about elevating our gaps and where we need support. And so having both the state association, right, which in the past has been able to provide great subsidies, having a national affiliate like Feeding America, and really focusing on lower and under-resourced food banks that are experiencing capacity issues, and then routing funds to be able to support their increased capacity, or maybe even just like meeting their base need is really important. But it's kind of like a multi-tiered approach. But I was just going to say, there's a Californian in Washington, the UC Paul. Yeah, we were from San Diego. And so he spoke at our national committee. I did not know about all the things that are great. And it's huge. One of the things I love is that he talked in my committee. He said, Secretary Ross comes from the state that's the most respected agriculture. And the most criticized legislature. He was great. This has been very, very, very informative, and I just want to close with everything we talked about today. It's about how do we be more intentional and strategic, because this is not only about eliminating hunger, but together and calculating, but it's also about improving the nutrition and the health outcomes starting in the youngest age possible for lifelong benefits. And I think, like, who could ever say no to that action if we will? So thanks for everything you're doing.
Yeah, so right. Well, okay, sorry. We did have one, I'll share with you on. We're trying to think, how do we make this better? And right now, it's kind of a centralized distribution way it's handled. What if there was a central platform that keeps the school allocation funds of students, where it makes it easier for the dietitians to see what's available within a radius? So it could be a platform where farmers can go post with that. And then these schools can go directly to them and see what's available and then fund the state in the schools. There's a lot of LTL services we can call state. That may be really too tall, but that's one thought we had, was why why not keep this money in the school and help the farmers, get market pricing? All this centralized distribution. But that's one thought we have, a simple platform where schools can go on, and you can see all the local farms in there, what's coming up for that year. And then they work together, and on the backside, it's free to the farm. The farmer can just go register, put on there what they have, and together. It's a lot. That's one thought we can centralize this program, keep the money market price, the farmers, so we can make it the next year. And there's a lot of small, that plug into that platform. And I bet we can go straight to the school. That's one thought we're willing to. Thank you. All right.
Thank you for your great presentation. Marcus, you have one of the biggest, finger lime orchards in California, 10 acres, that sounds like a lot of finger limes.
Yeah, we could have done, like $1,000 here. We were the first plantation in California, Jim, we're the largest.
I first heard about finger limes from Ben Drake from Temecula, and first experience with grapefruit too from Ben Drake. But I have 2 potted finger limes in my house. Haven't committed to put it in the ground. I mean, you get like 20 to 30 fruit per tree. Then you get like per tree. Or, I mean, what can you get on it?
You can get 40 to 50. You can get 40 to 50. Well, it's 10 years on this, so canopies on.
I should give it to the ground.
Give you all our.
Yeah.
Kind of like right one feet in second.
Yeah. That, well, it was inspiration from Ben Drake. Okay, I think it's and everybody I give it to, like 4 or 5 people, love them. 265 million. But on the school, we were shooting for 200. Is that right, Aaron? Yeah, 100, but then Division 2020 was shooting for the 200 million in 2000. I was thinking it didn't plateau. No, boy, that's acceleration. The need is greater. You're going for 300.
No, like the chair.
Well, Greg McNamara tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We need to do it, okay?" But I think Miles Ryder said we do it too, and so hey, right? You're on it, right? So well, I think I heard Janae when you said that. She was you said something about broken heart. Oh, I love that.
Anyone else, the board? All right, does anyone else in the room or online have a public comment, for the panel that we have here? Okay.
Use the mic, please.
We're gonna give you a lot of shout outs. So the organic market development grant that we just received is funding us to update our government directory. School district, for organic farmers, underserved farmers in the region, like crop types, and hopefully have an aggregation system as well. So it will be limited to organic, and to start reaching our members. We're going to start finding out the state, and hopefully that's the tool that. And again, kind of go back in terms of copying, training, then coming forward.
Well, I was just thinking, we heard from the walnut, Jack, about some walnuts that were a little darker. Have you gotten any of those? I think we love those. Yeah, walnuts that are a little darker than the ones you get a lot of. There you go.
Secondary, tertiary market, for those that do make.
Call Jack. Very much.
very too much. You know, long ago.
If you'd like to make public comment on this agenda item, raise your hand icon and I can confirm. And seeing the public comment.
Thank you, Josh. And I'd really like to thank the panel, and really all of them today have been fantastic. And I hope any of you have gotten a lot of really good data. You know, you can pull a lot of program money back to California. Because you really do know the need your product, you know, we're so proud to have you in Washington, looked out at it. So thank you for being here. Really good to have you. No. Yes, Linda?
We'd be remiss not to give a shout out to the local board extension.
Woo-hoo, yeah. Yes, understood. But, yeah. Definitely a thank you to the local UC extension. Put this together for us. Thank you.
Yeah, not all extended.
Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna go to public comment, and other agenda item. We really expect it to be 3 minutes or less, and come to the microphone, and that's the.
I'm gonna take it and learn, Mike, use my. It's the last thing, something that came out, nothing. Taking action. Black History Month, great month. Last time we were here at the CDFA World Ag Expo, y'all had to represent all 1.6 million people back. Then we have Queen Mother Nina Womack, and one of the GB Unlimited, one of the award-winning writers, #1 Black newspaper in America. And so it was no women on, well, I should say, it was no Black women on the board. And now it's a plethora. In fact, Dr. Hummerstein was in the audience with me. But this is so fun. We're gonna go across the street, and we partnered with Farm Bureau, so we're gonna be able to have some real success stories. And so we're operating in California, implementing what I'm sure gonna come out in the equity report, I think in another 2 weeks. With Dr. Goldman and those folks that she worked with, the battery gone, trying to go. Just sharing that we've been doing this work for a little while. Just a little while. And it's paying off here in California, so we'll share it. Thank you, Mike.
Well, there's a lot of love that's going on there, but that's why I'm not delivering to you this morning. I received about 20 letters last night, and chose 5 of these today. We have got clock.
Oh, we're going.
Okay. I just got some Severities Dairyman from Christine. I'm mad as hell. It's PDFA and Ross. I have an office that we're recommending for 5 years. We turned down 6 petitions that I have signed. What's it take for you to do your job? You said that there's a lot of super majority supporting the program. You would call for a referendum. Well, what was the survey? What were all the petitions called for? And your son said it clearly showed that only 50% supported the quit. I thought you needed a super majority to keep the program in. 50% is not a super majority. You need to step down when you get secretary to stand by the word, before it's too late in another 400 days. This is from Luke Banner now, and he's a Dairyman from Liberty. Secretary Ross promised us in a letter that if Chapter 3.5 was suspended or terminated, she did not have the authority to implement it. Well, Chapter 3.5 was suspended and terminated on November 1, 2018. She's still implementing it. And she's still showing this tax down on Georgia that costs over $750 million. This tax is being passed on to our consumers in the state. So every time you buy milk, you buy the tax, and Ross is putting in a new product that milk is involved with. Tax goes to the favorite 300 areas to put in their pockets. We step down for these like 500 areas like the Northern Shore. Sitting from the air from Turlock. I've gone to some of the producer review board meetings, I can't believe what I saw there. We have 14 quota holders and only one non-quota holder representing the whole dairy industry. It should be 8-7, not 14-1. It's so unfair and biased. This is supposed to be the board that helps you administer the whip. Non-quota holders represent 45% of the industry. We pay $500 million over 6.4 years, and we only have one representative on the board. Just how crooked are you? I witnessed Craig Gordon repeatedly bring it up at the meetings, only to fall on deaf ears. So I hope today to tell you, we want a board that's representative of our industry today, not tomorrow, but today. Shame on this board for supporting it. This is from Dave Adams, Scott from Bakersfield. I'm here to protest, protest Cameron Ross, who's overcharged our industry $17 million over a 2-year period. And refused to give the money back to all of their industry. He gave the money back to only those who are still in business, and ignored all those who went out of business after the 2-year surplus was done. Bad enough that you're running these dairies out of business. It's tragic to watch my neighbors' dreams go up in smoke due to your policies and practices. But when I know dairymen who see if they took too much money from their account, created their surplus, and you did this unbelievable, you paid their money to the other dairymen, you let them get the money. And that insult to injury, you said they were not dairymen anymore. And they couldn't come to the PRB meeting to ask for their hardship. This is our leader of the ag industry of California. That's number perfection. You want to give one such something? You guys like to hear about the rest of the things she's done? It's pretty awesome, awesomely done. We did our petition. Thank you. Appreciate them for your time.
Josh, could you check online if you have any additional public comment?
If you'd like to make public comment for items not on the agenda, please use your hand. Seeing no other comment?
Thank you. Just like to thank everybody for being here today. It was an excellent meeting. Really, I think we all need a lot of patience that we have today. So this time we will adjourn the meeting. And thank everybody, thank the board for coming to Larry. Hope you have a chance to go look at the farm show before you leave.
Thank you. Hey, Josh. Thank you.